taken to a nearby hospital for further medical care.
2 women and a 6-year-old girl child were declared dead at the scene, whilst a 12-year-old girl was taken to hospital with gunshot injuries. The motive of the killing is unknown at this stage, and a search with suspects is underway.
In other news, Trade Federation COSATU says the government of national unity can expect more protest action by workers in the future as long as it remains unresponsive to their demands. This is according to COSATU's first Deputy President Mike Shingange, speaking outside the Johannesburg Stock Exchange on the Labour Federation's National Day of Action today. Thousands of workers across the country have taken to the streets to call for a moratorium on retrenchments as well as decent pay and working conditions. Shingange elaborates.
This is not the first and the only activity we're going to have. We're going to be a rolling mass action once, even by the time when the Minister of Finance gives the budget speech in Parliament, we will also be there as a follow-up to this budget. But of course, we're also engaging in other forums and other engagements. But as you can see, this is the first response of the workers and the working class to the government of national unity. So for as long as they don't hear and listen to the working class, we can promise them they will have no peace in government, because this is what they're going to be seeing almost on a regular basis until they listen to the workers.
We move to the Eastern Cape now, where residents of Ngobozana and surrounding villages in Lusikisiki are up in arms outside the local magistrate's court. This after they were told by the magistrate that there's no scheduled court appearance for the 3 persons of interest who may be linked to the Ngobozana mass murder. The residents fill the court gallery eager to see the 3 suspects. Fundiswa Nhlenkude reports.
During the mass memorial service of the Ngobozana 18 yesterday, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu said 3 persons of interest have been arrested and will be appearing at the local magistrate court today. But the magistrate told the residents who filled the gallery that they have no knowledge of any appearance of the 3. The National Prosecuting Authority in the province also denies any knowledge of the arrest and court appearance. The bereaved families have expressed disappointment, saying they have lost all trust in the police and justice system. Fundiswa Mhlekude, SABC News, Lusikisiki.
Lastly, U.S. President Joe Biden says he and his administration remain fully committed to the safety of the Jewish people, the security of Israel, and its right to exist. The White House released a lengthy statement from the president as he marked the 1-year anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel last year that has seen a debilitating war in Gaza and threats of a similar expansion into Lebanon as Israel now combats Hezbollah across its northern border. Sharon Bryce-Peace reports.
He said the attack brought to the surface painful memories left by millennia of hatred and violence against Jewish people, as he expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself against attacks from Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen and Iran. Biden said he believed that history would also remember October 7th as a dark day for the Palestinian people because of the conflict unleashed by Hamas that day, adding that they would not stop to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza and a diplomatic solution across the Israel-Lebanon border region.
Recapping the top story this hour, disgruntled community members in Naledi, Soweto have closed down foreign-owned spaza shops. This follows the shocking death of 5 children aged under 10 in the area. It is alleged that the children ate snacks bought from a local spaza shop over the weekend. Headlines at 3:30 for SFM News. I am Dino Motaung.
Coming up in your sports this hour, Ireland win the toss and elect to bat first against the Proteas in the 3rd ODI. Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates avoid each other in the CAF Champions League draw, and Osaka pulls out of Japan Open with back injury. More details at 3:30.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.6 FM in Bloemfontein. The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Hello, welcome to the show. John in Fireshrove 2 more times. Welcome to this, the National Pulse with Jon Gericke. We are going to get a roundup of what is happening in the nation today. It's the COSATU National Day of Action. We will find out if it is what they said, going to cripple the economy because of joblessness, poverty, inequality. Is our marches still the place to do this? or is it just time to sit around a table and have discussions? We're seeing how well that's not working very well in other places around the world. But we'll get an update. We'll get an update, first of all, from Bloemfontein. We're going to go around the nation and see what effect the march has had, if anything at all, with our reporters around the country. We're going to go to Mpumalanga, who's out in Kamati Port as well. So plenty to discuss that. Let us know if it's affected you in any way. If you're a worker who has taken the day off and has gone on strike, was it successful from your perspective? And if you didn't go on strike today, how has it affected your work at all? Did you manage to get to work today? Or did you take the day off just in case? I don't think it was a very big one. In my 1 or 2 years as a broadcaster, I've seen strikes, but this one didn't seem as if it was very well publicized or very well followed. But we will find out. We'll talk to our reporters, and we'll talk to you as well. Let us know exactly what was happening there. That's coming up. Our Global Watch today, we're going to catch up with what's happening in Mozambique. They are having elections this coming week, and it looks like it's just going to go the same way as always. But there's a couple of new little spices that have been thrown into the mix, which could make it quite interesting on Wednesday, and we'll talk about that. And then, as correctly predicted, we have to talk about it. Israel, people across Israel and the world remembering 7 October attacks a year on. Hamas killed 1,200 people, took 251 people hostage. Since then, and everybody's still quoting this 42,000 people that have been killed during Israel's military campaign in Gaza. I feel as if that number is an old number. I feel as if that number should be much, much more. And since then, we've seen it expand into other territories, into other areas. All very related, and we will get a little bit more on the situation. We can't ignore that one. That's probably the biggest world story of the day today. And later on, it's not all doom and gloom and war and violence. We will also talk about some happy stories, because we like to balance it out. Some light in the darkness. We're going to help you discover your formula for happiness today, just before 5 o'clock. I'm reading a book. It's the second part of that Sapiens book. And one of the issues is, like, can human beings be happy? Can we ever be happy? Because once you're happy, you want happy again. It's like this little fleeting feeling, right? If I gave you $1 million right now, you'd be happy. But then you'd want another $1 million. And then you'd want another $1 million. And if you look at billionaires, I mean, at what point do you need more money? Or if I give you a child, it's like, well, should we have another child? I don't know. We'll talk about happiness later on. And then Eskom has today officially split its into one of its many, what is going to be 3 separate groups. There is now the National Transmission Company South Africa. That is the transmission lines of Eskom. There was a launch today, and we'll find out a little bit more about what is happening there. There's a whole new company, which is a whole lot more people to pay, but apparently this is going to help, because this company by itself will focus solely on the transmission of electricity. We'll find out why that's important later on. So all of that and plenty more coming up.
My name's Michael Fontaine. I'm 16. I have difficulty paying attention in class, so I fell behind. That's why my parents moved me to UCT Online High School. I can't thank them enough. Their flexible learning means I can take classes when it suits me, so I get ahead and stay ahead. Visit uctonlinehighschool.com to learn more. Applications close 29 November 2024.
The wait is finally over, and we can safely say that Tropica Island of Treasure is back to serve you some really great entertainment. Tune into S3 from the 28th of September to cheer on the 7 teams who will be vying to win a shared prize of 1 million rand, a brand new car each, and become the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure Season 11. Fancy 50,000 bucks? Predict the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure, and you might be sipping that cold, refreshing Tropica all the way to the bank. Follow at MyTropica and at SABC3 for more information. Channel your inner champion with Tropica Island of Treasure. Starts Saturday the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
S3. Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
12 minutes past 3, John in for Ashraf. It's the National Pulse. Trade Union Federation COSATU embarked on the National Day of Action against what it terms the crippling economic crisis in the country, characterized by joblessness, poverty and inequality. Let's find out what's been happening around the country. We start in Bloemfontein. Cornelo Lekafola is a SABC reporter based in Bloemfontein. Cornelo, thank you very much for joining us. What effects or anything what was the turnout like for the march today?
Good afternoon and good afternoon to the listener of SAFM. Yes, the turnaround was a very good one in that we saw the members of the South African Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Union, SACAU, taking to streets where they actually started their march from the part of the area of Mangaung, as they were marching to the industrial area to a retail store. That in actual fact, one that could refer to as a wholesale GFS, in so to speak, where they were going to deliver the memorandum of demands to the company, since there is a lot of discrimination, according to SACAU, to their members there who are working there. To single them out, one can refer to things like racism that they are referring to, and the discrimination at the workplace, where certain things they are not supposed to be touching other things that belong to other people of a different race. So the demands actually also included the reinstatement of 15 workers that have been placed on suspension without pay after their jobs were shredded due to non-compliance of the employer to labor legislations. So they were unilaterally, according to the organizer of SACAU in the Free State and Northern Cape region, Mr. Mweketi Ndelegwa, who actually pointed out that them being placed under suspension was a logical one, in that it was not on their side that they committed anything wrong, but it was the company that actually did not comply with certain legislations of the Labour Department.
Cornelo, sorry to interrupt. I just want to find out. So the marchers in Bloemfontein were going to individual companies. Did they go to a government building at any stage when they're talking about the crippling economic crisis?
According to what they have told us, the COSATU march, the big one, was happening in the northern part of the Free State.
Okay.
So since Bloemfontein is towards the southern part of the Free State, they actually did not make it to the northern part of the Free State, where they should have joined other members of COSATU there. So as the affiliate of COSATU being SACAU, they organized their own thing here in this part of the Free State, in Bloemfontein to be specific, whereby they actually directed their mass action in a form of march towards the TFS retail store.
And focusing on individuals that they feel are breaking the law and are well, just not law-abiding citizens, and they're raising awareness of that and calling them out. Yes.
In actual fact, they say the sector, as a well-known one, has got its heightened job insecurity and the casualization that is happening there, and the retrenchments that are happening willy-nilly, perpetual loss of jobs through restructuring, trade union bashing, and paying workers less than the minimum wage. Those are some of the things that they pointed out, or that they pointed out in when they were talking to us as the SABC, since we got the opportunity to have the interview with the organizer
All right, Cornelo Lekafola, thank you very much. SABC reporter in Bloemfontein. Let's go to Komatipoort in Mpumalanga. And Mtubisi Mkalipi is watching the action there. Good turnout in Komatipoort today, Mtubisi?
Greetings to you and the listener. Yes, the march continued in Komatipoort. We were at a farm that is called Sonama Investment, and the protest march was attended by members of different labor unions such as SATU, Yonehau. They were part of the protest march. It was led by the Deputy Secretary General Gerald Twada, where they handed over a memorandum of grievances, and they are raising a number of issues. They are saying that some of the farm owners, especially in the Nkomazi region, here near Komatipoort, they are non-compliant with the national minimum wage. They are raising issues of sexual harassment and the use of illegal foreign nationals for cheap labor. As you know, that the Nkomazi region is closer to Mozambique and Eswatini. So they say that they are against that, and they want such issues to be addressed.
So again, the same as in Bloemfontein, they were addressing individual issues as opposed to going to a government office and handing over a memorandum.
Yes, they did not go to the government office. However, government officials or departments were invited to come and receive the memorandum of grievances, because the General Secretary Twala said that, apologies with that disturbance. What he said was that they want the Department of Labor to come in and make sure that they monitor regularly the farm or conditions of farm workers in the Nkomazi region. So they say that they want the department to do that, and it's part of their memorandum, or their demands that is there in their memorandum.
Did the department arrive?
The department was there to receive the memorandum of grievances, and also the farm owners, they came to receive the memorandum of grievances. However, they refused to talk to us. But one of the issues that was raised was the issue of allowing the workers to be part of a union of their choice. You remember that we've got a farm that is called Umbaba. We reported a few years ago that some workers were claiming there that they were dismissed because they were not allowed to be part of a union. So such issues, those are the issues that they are raising. But we've also managed to talk to some of the workers. They are saying that indeed there are issues that they want to be addressed, the issues of being exploited. They claim that they work long hours, but sometimes they are not paid full salaries. So those are the issues that they want to be looked into, and they even made allegations that some of the managers they assault them. So they want such issues to be investigated, and they also confirmed that most of the workers that are working in that farm, they are from Mozambique, like those that we spoke to. However, they said that they've got all documentation and they are here in the country legally, unlike the allegations that are raised that most of the farm workers and that's in the Nkomazi region are here in the country illegally.
Mtubisi Mkalipi, thank you very much. In Komatipoort, watching the action of the COSATU National Day of Action against crippling economic crises in the country, characterized by joblessness, poverty and inequality. We hope to get more throughout the show.
The world's best football league makes its return to S3. Will Arsenal finally win their first title since 2004? Or will Man City continue their dominance of the league and win their 7th title under Pep Guardiola? Will the Dutchman in Erik ten Hag and Arne Slot have something to say as Man United and Liverpool step in to contest for the title? But it's not only about winning the title. For some of the 20 teams, it's a chance to improve on their performances from last season. While for others, it's the battle to avoid relegation and stay in the top flight. Every team has a point to prove. This is not just football. This is a masterpiece being played out every weekend. Channel your best sport with the English Premier League. Saturdays at 3 p.m. on S3. Open up. S3.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Becoming Elizabeth is the fascinating story of the early life of England's most iconic queen. With no clear heir, the death of King Henry VIII sets into motion a dangerous scramble for power. Elizabeth's fascinating and factual journey to secure the crown is filled with scheming, betrayal, and illicit relationships that threaten to bring forth her demise. At a time in which every man or woman of the court is on the wheel of fortune, which may take them to a position of great power one moment, or the executioner's block the next. Channel your inner royalty with Becoming Elizabeth, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Is there ever a bad time for a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
Just before we get our next interview, a quick tweet. It was a tweet. What do you call it? I guess it's a tweet from DJ Pummel Simon. He says, "Where is Ashraf, man? Aish, Ashraf's coming back on Wednesday. It's okay. You just got me for 2 more days, DJ Pummel. You'll survive. I promise. You'll be okay. Take a breath. Rub the earlobes. Let's get an update on what's going to happen in Mozambique on Wednesday. They will vote in the country for a new president. Observers believe that the ruling party Frelimo is likely to maintain a firm grip on power. The candidates rounded off their campaigns at the weekend in the northern and central provinces, which are regarded as the highest voting constituencies. Let's talk about the country's state of affairs ahead of that election with Nixon Katembo, Africa Affairs commentator, who also works for sister station Channel Africa. Nixon, is Mozambique ready for elections on Wednesday?
Yes, elections are going on. The preparations are underway as we speak in Maputo. And a few minutes ago, have just visited the independent electoral commissions for accreditation of my own. The environment seems to be peaceful, although there are various views when you ask people on the street in Maputo and across the country, voicing a different perspective on the upcoming elections and what they need to see happening in the country after the elections.
Is there any chance of Frelimo not winning this election?
Likely not. Those are many of the views that we have so far gathered on the street, although the majority of young people talk about change. How that change is going to happen it's remained to be seen in the ballot. But on the part of the independent electoral commissions, it seems to have set everything in motion to have these elections. We spoke earlier to one of the lead at the electoral commissions, actually the director, the national director of the Office of Communications and Image and Public Relations, Regina Joyce Martine, outlining so far from the logistical point of view that over 25,000 polling stations across the countries are ready. From the international observation missions, there are over just over 400 rather, including the SADC missions which we saw earlier today. And within the internal observation missions, there are over 1,500 observers deployed across the country. So it seems all is set in motions, and there are indications really that there won't be any difference. And to directly answer your questions, it seems Frelimo is geared to win these elections.
Let's talk about, first of all, the what looks like to be the new president, Daniel Chapo. Is very young. He will be the first Mozambican president born after independence, first not to have fought in that war between Frelimo and Renamo. Will that change the way and the direction the country goes?
Well, I suspect that reflects the mood and the aspiration of young people in this country, because once you speak to them, they talk about change. Whether Daniel Chapo, as a young person, will come with this change within the ruling party, maybe that will remain to be seen at the ballot when the Mozambicans themselves decide who is going to lead them and bring about that change that they are seeking.
Is the opposition strong enough? Are they even putting up a fight?
Well, there seems to be a strong opposition on the part of an independent candidate, Venancio, who broke away from Renamo. Although the main opposition party, Renamo, seems to have weakened somehow after kind of chasing away or expelling Venancio from the party and fragmenting the opposition in some senses. The third political party seems not to be having that much strong support if you ask people on the street, but Renamo seems to be driving, Frelimo, as the ruling party, seems to be driving the seat when it comes to support across the country.
One of the big things is just the stalling of what could be a really successful natural gas project up north, but there's that jihadist violence happening up north there. Is there any solution to that?
Well, there seems to, the government, if you hear government officials, they seem to say that their focus is to the stability of the country, although expressions of various opinion on the street in Mozambique seems to suggest otherwise. There are people who have returned to Cabo Delgado owing to relative peace after the SAMIM SADC intervention missions there, including the presence of Rwandan soldiers. However, when we ask some of the officials, they say that there are still people who are still displaced across the country. They have not returned. But also there are issues of natural disasters in Mozambique, as you would have known. Mozambique in the early 2000s became very famous for a child who was born on the tree after floods happened. So these are kind of natural disasters that also have an impact on the country. So those are issues that Mozambicans are talking about, to say that development, change, jobs, and mostly security for the part of Cabo Delgado in the north.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. Nixon Katembo, Africa Affairs commentator, works at our sister station, Channel Africa. Mozambique, one of the poorest countries in the world, 74% of its people are estimated to live in poverty. That was a survey done last year. There's that offshore gas, but that's been stalled since 2021 by violence from jihadist groups affiliated to the Islamic State group. We've seen reports about talking to the general population, and they say that the Electoral Commission, one resident saying it's a joke, it manufactures voters, claims to have registered 17 million voters from a largely young population of 33 million. Doesn't add up. He can't believe these figures, he says. So we'll keep an eye on that. That election is happening on Wednesday. It's 3:30.
For the headlines at 3:30, I am Dino Motaung. Good afternoon. Eskom has officially launched the National Transmission Company of South Africa as a stand-alone operation. In other news, disgruntled committee members in Naledi, Soweto have closed down foreign-owned spaza shops. This following the shocking deaths of 5 children aged under 10 in the area. It is alleged that the children ate snacks bought from a local spaza shop over the weekend. And the former Russian Deputy Defense Minister is facing corruption charges involving the alleged theft of more than $30 million. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, a COSATU-led protest march is moving through central Sandton area, so expect delays and diversions. The M1 southbound in central Johannesburg, slow moving towards Crown Interchange. The N1 southbound in Centurion has a crash reported after Botha Avenue exit. In Kempton Park, the R21 southbound has a crash before the R24 highway split, and the R24 eastbound has a crash before Barbara Road exit. In KZN, a COSATU-supported protest march is moving through Durban's central areas, so expect delays and diversions during the event. The N3 southbound in Howick has a truck crash reported near Lions River. In Cape Town, Baden-Powell drivers sand in places between Muizenberg and Khayelitsha, so please proceed with caution. The N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound is queuing towards Voortrekker Road. Brighton Road in Kraaifontein is slow moving, that's at the N1 highway, and Strand Road eastbound in Stikland slow moving towards the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkapele.
Tumi was watching Formula 1 cars this weekend. Did you run? Did you run on Saturday? Did you do anything good?
No, I was working on Saturday.
Ah, you see, I did it.
I did the Hollywood bits.
I did my fastest ever park run on Saturday.
You were
Hashtag
running?
just saying.
How many Ks?
5 kilometers.
In how many minutes or how many hours?
It was the fastest one I've done in the park run so far. So
how many minutes?
Doesn't matter. It was the fastest. Okay. What's happening in the sports?
So much is happening in the world of sports. Well, starting off with cricket, Ireland won the toss and they elected to bat first in the third and final one-day international against South Africa this afternoon. All-rounder Jason Smith replaced Vian Mulder, who returned home for personal reasons, while Reza Hendricks will open batting in place of Themba Bavuma, who's injured. Just looking at that on-the-go match, Ireland are currently sitting on 141 for 1 after 28 overs. Remember, South Africa has all but won the series, so this one is more about pride for Ireland. Meanwhile, Proteas woman batsman Tasman Britt says that they're not underestimating the rest of their opponents in their group at the T20 Women's World Cup. South Africa face England this afternoon at 4 p.m. with hopes of continuing with winning ways from their perfect first match. However, England presents a different kind of a challenge because in the head-to-head record between these two sides, it favors the English with 19 wins to South Africa's 4 alongside 1 no results. So it'll be a tough match. However, we do trust that South Africa will do the job against England. In football, title holders Al Ahly will face Orlando Pirates after both were placed in Group C when the CAF Champions League group stage draw took place earlier. Siad Belouizdad and Stade Abidjan complete the group, while Mamelodi Sundowns are in Group B alongside Raja Casablanca, FAR Rabat and Menima Union. And remember that the group winners and runners-up qualify for the quarterfinals. Elsewhere, France captain Kylian Mbappe is facing criticism in his home country for skipping Le Bleu Nations League games against Israel and Belgium while being available to play for Real Madrid. The forward picked up a muscle injury last month but made his return to the pitch in the Champions League last Wednesday. France coach Didier Deschamps left Mbappe out of the squad that he announced on Thursday, saying that the 25-year-old lacked preparation, having played too few matches. Then moving on to tennis, 4-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka has pulled out of her home Japan Open next week because of an injury that caused her to retire from the China Open in Beijing. The 26-year-old looked in good touch as she recorded 3 wins at the China Open in Beijing last week. But in her last 16 match against Coco Gauff, Osaka retired at the end of that second set because of a back injury. Ending things off with that marathon news, South Africa's long-distance runner Gert Steyn has just 1 marathon left to fulfill her wish list for this year after finishing in the top 10 of the Spa Women's 10-kilometer Joburg event, competing as a guest of the organizers at the Marks Park Sports Center yesterday. Steyn secured 6th place in a time of 35 minutes and 11 seconds. Did you hear that, John? 35 minutes and 11 seconds.
For 10Ks? For
10Ks. You just did a 5K and I'm still wondering how long it took you.
It was quicker than that.
Anyway,
I'll check. Let me check. Wait, she did 10Ks?
10Ks in 35 minutes and 11 seconds.
Okay. No, you carry on. I'm just going to go find my score now.
Fine. Her goal now is to participate in the Soweto Marathon on the 3rd of November to add to her impressive career that already includes the likes of the Comrades, Cape Town, 2 Oceans, the Dam marathons, along with 2 Olympic Games marathons.
For the second question, Soweto Marathon is something that I really want to do. I've never done it before, and I always think that I've won the Comrades in the 2 Oceans now, but there's still races there. I think there's a big 5 for me in South Africa that I really would like to win. I think Comrades, 2 Oceans and Omidam is the first 3, and the second 2 that's remaining for me is Cape Town and Soweto. So that definitely is still on my list. And I hope to be able to do it soon because I think that's something that is quite close to my heart also, and I don't like the fact that I've never done it before, so definitely it's something that I'm considering.
Okay, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
She officially runs twice as fast as I do.
Twice as fast?
Yeah, my park run was a 34... It's gone now. It was there we go, 34:23.
Not bad.
And she does 10Ks in 35:11.
Sure, that's fast.
So she runs twice as fast as I do.
Sure. But at least you're not bad. I thought you got to somewhere close to an hour to finish your 5K.
I'm aiming for a 30-minuter, but I'm going down to Durban in October, and there, sea level, flat, along just off the beachfront, so that's where my 30-minute goal is.
Okay, let's see how it goes.
But she's still twice as fast as I am, too.
Of
Can
course,
we just understand
it's her
how
career.
fast they are?
She lives for this.
Okay, you're on my side for a change.
Well, I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Myths versus facts. I'm too young to get breast cancer. Many women under age 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Men can't get breast cancer. 1 in 922 men have a lifetime risk of breast cancer. I have never had children and can therefore not get breast cancer. Women who haven't had children or only had them after 30 have an increased risk of breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on SAFM. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
20 minutes to 4. Let's take a couple of voice notes. The number 0614 104 107.
Hi, good afternoon, John. John, look, I hear you saying that maybe the strike were not well reported or something. No, it was well reported. It's just that people are not stupid anymore. This COSATU thingy is irrelevant. They are useless, to say the least about them. So they will engage on this strike or whatever they call it on their own. They cannot fool us anymore. We as workers, we were at work, and we can't even tell that there was a strike. They are actually boring and irritating us. Bob, Cape Town.
Hi, good afternoon, John and your team. This is Flores from the Western Cape. John, as an ordinary citizen, I do feel the effects of the high inflation, food prices rising, and everything bad that's gone with it. However, I think that Martis is outdated, man. That does not have an impact anymore. These big shop owners and people who runs the economy, they know it's just a once-off thing, and then it happens in 3, 6 months, a year's time again. So yeah, I think this is just a futile exercise. We need to come up with something sustainable and something feasible. Have a good show. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, John, and your team. Hallelujah. Yeah, in Matlosana, everything was normal. They didn't join the strike of COSATU. I didn't even see even one person wearing the t-shirt of COSATU. The residents of Matlosana, they are aware about this scam of COSATU. Or COSATU know them. If they want to campaign, if they got that position, they don't care about the rest. And I'm very worried. If they say they been applying for shutdown, they know those ministers who refused to create jobs, like Minister of Health. Why this guy doesn't allocate their powers from the CEO so that they must appoint? There is a crisis in the Department of Health. Every time they complain, shortage of staff. One person receives 3 salaries, but it's something normal. No, space in Matosana.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
Jon Gericke in for Ashraf. He'll be here on Wednesday. Now, a year after the Hamas attacks on Israel on October the 7th, the conflict is spreading. Surprise attack on Israel by Hamas gunmen from Gaza, killing around 1,200 people, taking more than 250 hostage, triggered a chain of violence and escalation. Israel invaded Gaza with its Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promising to destroy Hamas and release the hostages. More than 40,000 people have been killed there, according to Gazan authorities, most of them women and children. Many more are unaccounted for, and much of Gaza lies in ruins. The BBC's Jeremy Bowen filed this report.
The survivors of the attack on Kibbutz Kfar Aza have not come back to live here. The ruins have not been touched. Kfar Aza, right on the border, was one of the first targets of Hamas. They killed 62 people here and took 19 into Gaza as hostages. That buzz is from an Israeli drone heading for Gaza. Later, we heard airstrikes. Bereaved families and a grieving nation were promised total victory over Hamas by their prime minister. A year on, Hamas are still fighting. The ground around one house has been excavated. It was the home of Nirel Zini and his fiancée, Niv Raviv, both killed by Hamas. Nirel's father spent weeks looking for his son's head. He didn't find it. A neighbor said there was a nightmare on every corner.
We are still inside the trauma. We are not in post-trauma like people said. We are still here. We are still in the war. My victory, I will be here with my son and daughter, with my grandchild, and living peacefully.
For Israelis, Kfar Aza and all the other places that Hamas attacked on the 7th of October have become repositories of a very deep and still raw national trauma. And the horror that happened here has, for the vast majority of Israelis, absolutely justified everything that Israel has done since then. A year ago, Israeli troops were still fighting Hamas when they led us into Kfar Aza 3 days after the attack. The year of war since then ripped away any illusion that the Middle East could be peaceful without resolving deep-seated conflicts. Hamas fighters lying where they were killed were seen by Israelis as enemies funded by Iran to destroy their state. And the sight of dead Israelis being carried out of the ruins brought back the Nazi Holocaust that killed 6 million Jews. These soldiers were being deployed north to the border with Lebanon. A year later, Israel and Iran are in direct conflict, plummeting towards all-out war. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu promised a mighty vengeance. His defense minister said they were fighting human animals in Gaza and would act accordingly. This was Gaza City before last October. Hamas told the BBC they attacked Israel to put Palestinians back on the world's agenda. Israel has damaged or destroyed nearly 60% of all Gaza's buildings, according to satellite analysis. As the war in Lebanon deepens, in Beirut, there are fears they might face something like this. Almost 42,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians, have been killed. 10,000 are missing, thought to be under the rubble. The estimate is that 40% of casualties are children. Israel insists it follows the laws of war, spares civilians, and it rejects and condemns the accusation of genocide made by South Africa at the International Court of Justice. More than 2 million Gazans, the UN says, are trapped in a humanitarian catastrophe without food, water, and medical care. As families are displaced repeatedly on Israel's orders, BBC Verify has tracked how quickly improvised camps spring up. The Israelis say they're protecting civilians. The UN says nowhere is safe. Israel does not allow journalists into Gaza, so trusted Palestinian colleagues filmed Insaf Hassan Ali and her family in Al-Mawasi, a supposedly safe area hit by at least 18 Israeli airstrikes. Insaf and her family have had to move 15 times.
We were walking on Salah ad-Din Street when a car was hit, and we saw it burning. On the left, there were people killed. On the right, there were people killed. Even the donkeys were thrown around in the bombing, and we said, "That's it, we're done. The next rocket will be for us."
On the West Bank, the other side of the Palestinian territories, violence and killing have increased sharply. This is Jenin, where many Israeli raids have not deterred or destroyed local armed Palestinian militias. The cemetery is filling up with their dead. The war in Gaza has radicalized both sides. The West Bank is already part of the pile-up of serious conflict in the Middle East. There could be a bigger explosion here if Israel and Iran continue to accelerate into all-out war. The nightmare of the war that started in Gaza, spreading and igniting the Middle East, is happening. A ceasefire deal in Gaza might just cool the crisis and create a space for diplomacy. Perhaps the war can end in Gaza too. Or perhaps it's too late for that.
That report by the BBC's Jeremy Bowen.
Spring is in the air and it's almost time for SA Garden Day on Sunday 20 October. Celebrate your garden with a tea party, a luncheon, or simply lying down with a good book. Invite friends, family or neighbors to appreciate your garden. Visit gardenday.co.za for ideas and inspiration. And remember to upload your flower crown selfie to social media, the ultimate Garden Day accessory. Mark your calendar. SA Garden Day, Sunday, 20 October.
Andile, the CEO of a multinational corporation, is driving home with his daughter.
Dad, why is the tooth fairy so stingy?
Stingy? Well, she makes sure everyone gets something.
Does every electrical company get something?
Yes, they're covered by Old Mutual Corporate's employee benefits.
Even Abdul?
Of course, he gets retirement benefits.
And Sisampa on that big machine.
She gets group risk cover if that big machine hurts her.
Wow, that's amazing, Dad.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
EFC 118 promises to be one of the most scintillating fight nights in recent memory, with two standout matchups. Fresh off his incredible run in The Ultimate Fighter, Rody Roots battles for the interim featherweight strap against deadly kickboxing specialist Ayanda Zwane, whilst the co-main event witnesses the return of the one and only Martin the Punisher Van Staden, who takes on fellow veteran Hanru the Bully Boda. EFC 118 from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Do great solutions start with a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM,
Let's continue our look at COSATU's National Day of Action against what it terms crippling economic crisis in the country, characterized by joblessness, poverty and inequality. We heard from Bloemfontein and out in Komatipoort as well in Mpumalanga, where there were reports that they went to do individual businesses and farms. We did hear Irma G saying that there's issues with traffic in Sandton, but let's go to KwaZulu-Natal now. Jadely Paulse, SABC News reporter there. Jadely, what's been happening in KZN today?
Well, a very good afternoon, John. What started out to be about hundreds of workers turned into thousands by 2 o'clock this afternoon, and unions took to the streets holding placards, standing in solidarity and calling on government to address what they call is an ailing state. The unions here in KwaZulu-Natal, they have faced several difficulties in recent years, including poor economic growth, increased levels of unemployment, much like the rest of the country, as well as a lack of access to basic services. As you know, KZN is vastly rural. But amongst their list of demands are that provincial government fill all funded vacant posts with immediate effect, and within the current financial year. We also heard companies that are not paying workers according to the national minimum wage be exposed and action be taken against them. And then that also government and employers place a moratorium on retrenchments and to halt the privatization of state-owned enterprises, and that's largely speaking to Transnet here in KZN. But what we also heard, which was very interesting, is that unions have also called on government to urgently implement the Zondo Commission report recommendations. So that's what came out of our march at Durban leg. But we also saw various other unions that were a part of affiliation, like the Public Service Association, PSA. They are calling for unemployment rate, the unemployment rate in the healthcare system to be looked at, because they're saying that, you know, many of our specialized doctors and our nurses are leaving the country because they cannot find employment. So that's also one of the big issues that came out in a province like KZN, and I've been covering a lot of those healthcare stories. We are losing specialized doctors and nurses on a daily basis that are going abroad. So that's what's come out from our march here in KZN. John?
I didn't ask earlier, has everything gone off peacefully? It seems as if it's a proper, legitimate march with their grievances, and it's being handed over and everything's been going off peacefully.
Very peaceful. Like I said, it started this morning at about 11 o'clock this morning. We saw hundreds taking to the street, and, whilst we were going through the Durban city, many people started joining, even those that were not cladded in any union clothing. They also started taking part of the march. Civil servants as well, those that stayed home today, they came out in the numbers, and by 2 o'clock this afternoon, we were looking at thousands of people that, painted the Durban CBD with various colors of the unions.
KwaZulu-Natal's been hit hard with nature. There were the riots as well. The province still feeling those effects. It just adds to the issues that these workers are raising.
Definitely. I mean, if we look at the unemployment rate here, we've had several catastrophes, natural disasters. This has all affected many of our sectors here. We're still trying to pick up the pieces, and this is what the unions are calling. The fact that we are seeing, retrenchments on a daily basis in some of the sectors, that's very concerning. People are losing their jobs. High cost of living is going up. They cannot survive. So this is what they're seeking, that the government really needs to come on board now and really deal with the issues, the bread and butter issues at hand.
Right, Jadely Paulse, SABC News reporter in Durban. As you heard, thousands of people there. To the Western Cape we go. Corbin August is our SABC News reporter there. Corbin, good turnout in the Western Cape? We have Corbin. All right, we seem to have lost Corbin, so we'll see if we can get Corbin August on the line. He's been watching the action in the Western Cape. We'll get you their views. What views have you got on that? I see plenty of voice notes have been coming through on this issue. One COSATU says, who's this? Brian in Protea Glen needs to register themselves as a political party to challenge for power, not to make a lot of noise. We all know that they are still part of the ANC. They're not thinking straight, says Brian Mabai from Protea Glen. Thank you very much for that message. I think we got one more voice note, and we played this one. I don't think so. Let's play this voice note.
Good afternoon, John. COSATU is misleading the workers on the ground. The leadership of COSATU are sleeping in the same bed with the ANC in exploiting workers on the ground. COSATU is an embarrassment to the working class. They must not mislead our workers on the ground. It's high time that MK Party must establish a workers' union that is going to represent the interest of the working class. So Tisinolen Mafefe Limpopo. Thank you, John.
Let us know what you think. Give us a call, 086 000 2032. I haven't mentioned the numbers today, 086 000 2032. And you can also send us a WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107.
Afternoon, John, and your team at Ngoni and Tepen. I don't know whether media miss or ignore the story about the ANC Youth League member in Mpumalanga who was shot 7 times after he was threatening to report the corruption that was occurring in the water and sanitation department. Can you visit that story, John, please? Thank you.
Okay, we're on it. It was widely covered over the last few days. SABC News was there as well. ANC called youth lead to call on fight to crime in Mbombela. I see IOL has been covering that story. Times Live covered that story. News 24, we definitely did it as well here on the station. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. These things don't go away. Things just bubble under sometimes, and other big stories come up. Let's talk. Let's go to the phone lines. Janus is in Cape Town. Hello, Janus. Good afternoon. What do you want to talk about?
Hi, good afternoon. The 1 year of the attacks from the Hezbollah and other the Hamas and Israel, and then the repercussion, of course, 41,600 people in Gaza, they died because of the Israeli activity. And it's said it must come to the end. There's no question about it. But I would like to give you some other example. During the Second World War, in 1944, the Russian army moved into close to the Warsaw, and the Warsaw citizens decided to uprise and stand it about German occupation. So the Russian army stopped. The Germans come back because they were moving away. Germans come back, and in only 2 days after bombardment from the air and the ground, they killed about 60,000 people in 2 days. And then all together in 1 month, they murdered, killed citizens about 200,000. When the communists stood and didn't move forward. So it was on the crime on the both ways. So it's tragedy that the people lost so many, innocent people, 41 or 42,000. But the other historical events happened, and we don't know about it, or you don't know about it, and we don't talk about it. During the Second World War, when the Germans attacked Poland from one side, the Russians, maybe you don't even know about it, the Russians attacked Poland from the other side. They took Polish people, to the Siberia, 100,000 of them, and they died there in Siberia.
I think most of the World War II atrocities and most of the World War II deaths are very well known, Janos. But let's focus on the now. There's not much we can do about things in the past. What we can do is change things today.
Yes, and we have to also remember what happened then, those days. Like during the apartheid, we remember.
For sure. I'm not saying.
Remind apartheid was bad time.
Yes.
But historical things also shouldn't be forget what communists did. Actually, to allow for such a massacre.
Okay, so I kind of feel like it's two separate things, but Janos, thank you very much. We don't forget the past. The past is very important to remember. And the past leads to today. And a lot of what is happening today, everything that is happening today, is because of what has happened in the past. I see the Pope having his say today, and I just found that ironic, massively ironic. So, yeah, but I think a World War II massacre and what is happening today are two very different things at the moment, though. It's 4 o'clock.
Top stories. Hlophe resigns from JSC and Ascom launches transmission agency. With the news, I'm Dinamo Daun. Good afternoon. Umkhonto weSizwe Party parliamentary leader Dr. Jon Gericke has resigned from the Judicial Service Commission. This follows an interim interdict against him which bars him from participating in the JSC interviews currently underway in Johannesburg. We'll have details on this story in our later bulletins. Eskom has officially launched the National Transmission Company of South Africa, NTCSA, as a standalone operation. The division is a subsidiary of Eskom responsible for electricity transmission in the country. The NTCSA is one of Eskom's three entities, namely generation, distribution and transmission, announced in April. President Cyril Ramaphosa's 2019 State of the Nation address. The company started its independent operations in July this year. Energy and Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has described the launch as a positive step towards energy security and electricity availability.
What are the benefits to the country? So the first one, as you make the point, is to accelerate the onboarding of renewable energy sources. We know that there's a misalignment between our renewable energy assets and also grid capacity constraints in the Cape provinces, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape and Western Cape. So you must unlock those opportunities. So we have stated today that we think it's possible that by 2027 we can get an additional 11,000 megawatts on stream. We can be able to build over 1,200 kilometers of new lines. Of course, we must still have a way of ensuring that we tap into the liquidity of the private sector.
In Gauteng, disgruntled community members in Naledi, Soweto have closed down foreign-owned spaza shops. This follows the shocking deaths of 5 children aged under 10 in the area. It is alleged that the children ate snacks bought from a local spaza shop over the weekend. It is also alleged that the group of friends shared a packet of the snacks. A parent of one of the deceased, Thabo Msimango, says the matter has been reported to the police.
Initially, the kids yesterday bought snacks called brown dash from the foreign spaza shop. All of these kids are friends. All of them are under 10 years. It's been confirmed that one of them is at the hospital.
Under 10 years. It's been confirmed. And then all one is generally special.
In other news, Human Settlements Minister Mameloko Kubai says the launch of the department's research strategy is a deliberate change of approach in resolving the country's housing challenges. Kubai made the comments in Ekurhuleni today at the launch, where she was joined by academics and various MECs. Kubai says that the Human Settlements research strategy will ensure that the department's policies will be in line with evidence-based policy making.
The decision we took as the Human Settlements portfolio to review our policies was an admission that we need to shift the sector to evidence-based policy making and program implementation, but to change gear in terms of the pace and scale of what we are doing. Thus, the launch of the research agenda is a demonstration of our intentional and deliberate change of approach to resolving human settlements challenges to a more evidence-based approach.
In the Northern Cape, members of COSATU in Kimberley who marched to Premier Zamani Soul's offices as part of the national strike have demanded an end to job cuts at mines in the province. Provincial COSATU Secretary Orabeleng Moraladi has called on government and the mining sectors to create jobs.
We demand that there should be a halt to retrenchment. I can't take it anymore. We can't have an economy that is stagnating. We can't have an economy that is not growing as a result of government not creating opportunity for employment or even the private sector. If there's one thing that is not making us to sleep properly, is the amount or to the extent in which the mines are cutting jobs.
Lastly, a former Russian deputy defense minister is facing corruption charges involving the alleged theft of more than $30 million. Timur Ivanov was already accused of taking bribes. Ivanov's initial arrest triggered a clampdown on high-level corruption in the defense ministry, in which at least a dozen officials have been detained and charged this year. All of the officials had served under the former defense minister, who was replaced in a cabinet reshuffle earlier this year. The BBC's Paul Moss has the details.
It was a spectacular fall from grace. Timur Ivanov was Russia's deputy defense minister for 6 years, a Kremlin insider with particular importance after the invasion of Ukraine. But in April this year, he was arrested, accused of taking bribes in connection with the construction of defense ministry buildings. Now he's been charged with embezzling vast sums of money from a bank. Mr. Ivanov was a close ally of the defense minister Sergei Shoigu, who was sacked shortly after Mr. Ivanov's arrest. Some suggest this is all about infighting among political factions rather than crime and punishment.
Recapping the top story this hour, Umkhonto weSizwe Party parliamentary leader Dr. Jon Gericke has resigned from the Judicial Service Commission. Headlines at 4:30 for SFM News. I'm Dinoma Daung.
Coming up in your sports this hour, Proteas women win the toss and they've elected to bat first in their second ICC Women's T20 World Cup match against England, and Ronan Williams leading voting poll for Yashin Trophy. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 southbound in Alexandra is a stationary vehicle before London Road. The N12 eastbound in Gilview has a crash on the off-ramp to Klip River Drive, and the N1 southbound in Centurion, an earlier crash after Buerta Avenue exit has been cleared, but traffic remains slow-moving. In KZN, the N2 southbound, a stationary vehicle reported just before Spaghetti Junction. The N3 southbound in Howick has a truck crash reported near Lions River, and Umgeni Road westbound is slow-moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound slow-moving towards Krumbum Road. The M3 southbound is slow-moving towards Rhodes Drive. Victoria Road outbound slow-moving through Woodstock, and the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow-moving towards Hospital Bend. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105 FM in Polokwane. The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
8 minutes past 4, John in for Ashraf. Ashraf back on Wednesday. See a couple of tweets asking when Ashraf's back. He's back on Wednesday. Coming up in a moment, we're going to continue our rolling coverage of the COSATU national strike. We're going to go north and then speak to COSATU themselves and get an update for what they feel or how they feel their march has gone today. It's officially the National Day of Action. We'll hear what they have to think about that and if it was a successful one or not. In our personal growth feature today, what does happiness look like to you? Have you got a formula to attain true happiness? Worryingly, the book, as I told you earlier, the book I've been reading at the moment says no, there's no such thing as happiness. For a human being, we can't be happy. We can be fleetingly happy. It's one of these fleeting little things. But can we be happy? It's just like a little thing in your brain that goes psst, and then you're happy for a bit, and then you're unhappy again. And with social media these days, it's so difficult. The EFF have taken on the GNU's 100 days in office. They say that the 100 days of the Government of National Unity, or what they put in brackets every time, GNU, and they refer to it as the so-called Government of National Unity, they say has been defined by failure and entrenchment, austerity, privatization and unemployment. So we will talk to the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters and find out why they think the so-called Government of National Unity has been, or all of those things, is successful at all. And then in our winning feature today, we go to the Mandela School of Science and Technology in Mvezo Village in the Eastern Cape. Best Teacher of the Year has been nominated. We will talk to the Deputy Principal of the Mandela School of Science and Technology in the Eastern Cape. It was Teachers' Day, when was it? On Saturday. And the Teacher of the Year was announced at an award ceremony that we threw ahead to as well. So that's all coming up on the show. Welcome to it.
Andile, the CEO of a multinational corporation, is driving home with his daughter.
Dad, why is the Tooth Fairy so stingy?
Stingy? Well, she makes sure everyone gets something.
Does every electrical company get something?
Yes, they're covered by Old Mutual Corporate's employee benefits.
Even Abdul.
Of course, he gets retirement benefits.
And Sisampa on that big machine.
She gets group risk cover if that big machine hurts her.
Wow, that's amazing, Dad.
Visit oldmutual.co.za oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Health experts say that taking care of your baby starts the day you learn you have conceived. Changes should start immediately, from what you eat to how you take care of yourself. After you've delivered your baby, does the worry stop? No, it doesn't. From there, it's clinic visits, breastfeeding, introducing solids, and the list goes on. If you're a mom, father, or caregiver and are curious on how to support your kids' development to reach their full potential, or even concerned about the nutrition that strengthens their bodies, then our new SABC Education feature, Side by Side, is for you. Get all the advice you need from the Department of Health by tuning in every Wednesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. on The Full Circle on SAFM, starting in October. Tune into the feature and you could win 1,000 Rand with our monthly competition. Side by Side, brought to you by SABC Education on SAFM, leading the conversation.
Four dynamic design duos reimagine and reinvent 4 apartments in a century-old building nestled in the vibrant suburb of Sea Point, Cape Town. Armed with creativity, determination, and a limited budget, the duos fight against the clock to transform this grand old dame into a contemporary masterpiece, all under the critical eyes of an expert judging panel. The winning duo will claim a grand prize of 300,000 Rand, with an additional 100,000 Rand going to the fan favorite team, as voted by viewers. Channel your inner wow with My Design Rules, Sundays at 7 p.m, only on S3. Open up. S3.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Johnny, for Ashraf, it's 13 minutes past 4. Let's continue our rolling coverage of the COSATU national strike. Let's go to the north of the country now. SABC News reporter Koketso Motao has been following proceedings in Polokwane. Joins me on the line to chat about what's been happening there. Koketso, good evening to you. Successful one out in Polokwane?
Yes, good evening to you, John, and good evening to the listeners. I can tell you that indeed hundreds of workers, affiliated to the Trade Union Federation COSATU, have taken to the streets of Polokwane this morning, protesting against, the country's crippling unemployment crisis, poverty, and mistreatment of workers, among other issues. And I can tell you that they went to the bargaining council, the National Bargaining Council, responsible for the private security, where they submitted their memorandum of demands. And you can remember that, workers, particularly security officers, have been complaining about mistreatment of workers in various security sectors. And I can tell you that they also mentioned that some of these security officers, when they tried to claim their 2-pot system money, they couldn't get anything. They found that, the employer was not really paying those monies to the relevant authorities, although they were being deducted from their salaries.
Okay, so a successful one. You say hundreds of people coming out. We heard from Durban where other workers sort of joined in the protest. Did you see that happening there as well?
Yes, I can tell you that we saw workers from Dinosa, we saw workers from the mine workers. The mine workers were also present, and I can tell you that the workers who working at retailers like Shoprite, they were also present, raising their issues there. But unfortunately, Shoprite was not available to receive their memorandum. So they're saying that they're going to shut down Shoprite in Polokwane tomorrow as part of their protest until Shoprite, sends one of the senior managers to come and collect their memorandum. And I can tell you that they also went to the office of the provincial commissioner to submit their memorandum. And as you know, that recently there was a case in Polokwane where 2 female workers, were shot and killed and fed to the pigs. And they concluded their march to the office of Premier, where their memorandum of demands were submitted to the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour, Mr. Jomo, and there were also Mr. Jomo Sibiya and the Premier of Limpopo, Dr. Popiera Matuba.
And everything going off peacefully?
It was peaceful. But there are no incidents reported, and I can tell that it was a peaceful match indeed.
When you look at it, Koketcho, would you say it was success? We're going to talk to Kusata in a moment, and I'm going to ask them the same question. Would you say, from an outside perspective, it was a successful awareness day?
It was indeed a successful, and I can tell you that although some of the workers were not happy, particularly those who are working at ShopRite, that their employer was unable to come and receive their memorandum because they've been complaining about lack of I would say mistreatment of workers, and they're also complaining that they've been working for several years, but they are not taken as permanent workers. They've been casual workers for many years.
Right, Koketcho Motau, thank you very much. SABC News reporter in Limpopo. We are still, we're hoping to go down to the Western Cape again, and we're also going to try and get an update from the Northwest. We're going to go to Rustenburg. Itubleng Khajane is watching the incidents happening out there, see if anything has come out of that. But like I said, in a moment, we're going to talk to Kusatu themselves, see if it was a successful event so far.
The wait is finally over, and we can safely say that Tropica Island of Treasure is back to serve you some really great entertainment. Tune into S3 from the 28th of September to cheer on the 7 teams who will be vying to win a shared prize of 1 million rand, a brand new car each, and become the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure Season 11. Fancy 50,000 bucks? Predict the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure, and you might be sipping that cold, refreshing Tropica all the way to the bank. Follow at MyTropica and at SABC3 for more information. Channel your inner champion with Tropica Island of Treasure. Starts Saturday the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
This summer, we have extra large offers on Ford Ranger XL, XLT and Wildtrak from only 481,900 for a Ranger XL single cab 4x2. It's the extra large Ranger offer from only 481,900. Visit your nearest participating Ford dealer. Optional service plan included. While stocks last. T&Cs apply.
After registering 4 points in their first 2 matches, the Mambas of Mars target a huge win to keep their top status in Group I. But Stangsem Negati want out of the bottom position. They believe not even the Mozambican heat will stop them from getting their first win. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the meeting between neighbors. Mozambique versus Eswatini on Friday 11 October at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Becoming Elizabeth is the fascinating story of the early life of England's most iconic queen. With no clear heir, the death of King Henry VIII sets into motion a dangerous scramble for power. Elizabeth's fascinating and factual journey to secure the crown is filled with scheming, betrayal, and illicit relationships that threaten to bring forth her demise. At a time in which every man or woman of the court is on the wheel of fortune, which may take them to a position of great power one moment, or the executioner's block the next. Channel your inner royalty with Becoming Elizabeth. Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Call us on 086 000 2032. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
20 past 4, let's go to the phone lines. 086 000 2032. Lorraine in KwaZulu-Natal, what do you have to say?
Good afternoon to you and the listeners. How are you guys?
Always well. Go ahead.
Well, you were talking about happiness, so you epitomize happiness. You always seem to be jolly.
Yeah, I did. I want to tell you the honest truth, and I know you want to raise a really dark subject, so I'm going to raise the dark subject as well. When I had to do that interview on Friday with the Gaza doctor, it was I don't remember the second half of the show because I was just so down, and it's difficult, eh? It's very difficult sometimes. But yeah, you want to talk about a dark thing as well?
Yes, unfortunately, we have to let the world know, the country especially, about what's going on. In the week sometime, there was reports on...
Oh, has Lorraine gone away? Lorraine dropped her line. All right, we'll see if we can get Lorraine back on the line. She has quite a difficult subject to talk about, and yeah, it's sometimes you need to talk about these things, is what we do. So we'll see if we can get Lorraine on the line. Take a couple of voice notes while we wait for that.
Hi, John. It's Joseph here from Randek. I think COSATU thinks that we are stupid. I mean, all these years, in the past 30 years under the ANC government, they never marched. And prices have been going up every year for the past 30 years. Simply because now is the government of national unity, they come and try to make noise here and in order to recruit us. No, we can't be fooled like this, man. We are going on with our lives.
Let's go back to Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine, go ahead. No, she's gone again. All right, we're struggling to get Lorraine. Obviously, I used to blame load shedding for those kind of things, but it can't be load shedding. Come on, Lorraine, we want to hear what you have to say now. Here we go. Football.
Good afternoon, John. This is from Bloemfontein. Can we get someone from SAFA and clarify this second goal of William Fukeng? Because now it's like we are lost. We can't wait for Soccer Zone. Can you get someone from SAFA and explain, or a former referee or someone who has knowledge about the FIFA rules?
I'm imagining that sports show this evening, what time does it start? 6, 7, at 8 o'clock, will be all about that. If it's not, then raise that point again with them. But I'm imagining today for an hour there will be a discussion, and only a discussion about refereeing in general. But that free kick was was horrendous. All right, we're going to try one more time. Lorraine, the nation wants to know what you have to say. Go ahead.
Well, they've heard these stories before, but the saddest thing is that this young girl's got her whole life ahead of her, almost matric, and she was preparing for that, and she was raped by a school teacher. But you know, John, what really, I don't know what the word is. Her parents were such pillars of strength. Normally, family doesn't want to report cases of rape in their families. But they did the right thing, and I want to say kudos to them too, but also the young girl for having told her parents that. So they were working in synergy. I don't know what's going to happen to that guy. I don't care. I hope he rots in jail. Doesn't even get bail. Only the law provided for no bail. I'm just going to say that. But you know what? It's so sad when your teacher does that to you, somebody you trust, and at this special moment. But you know what I like, John? The good news is the Department of Education, or the bodies that be, are going to make special arrangements for her not to write at the venue where the other matriculants would write, but do something special for her, where she can write her exams for. And I'm praying she does the best she can under the circumstances. That's going to be very difficult.
Right, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We finally got through to you. Yeah, there is a call in court not to grant bail to the teacher. The teacher must face the wrath of the law, and penalties must be imposed on all the perpetrators of gender-based violence. The rape by a learner. The rape of a learner by a teacher is a betrayal of trust, a travesty of authority, and a stark reminder of failure to safeguard the vulnerable. Went on to say the government must take action to address the systematic failures that enable such atrocities and work tirelessly to create an environment where every child feels valued, safe, and protected.
Do great solutions start with a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Let's continue our talk about COSATU. They have the National Day of Action today, say again, against what it terms crippling economic crises in the country, characterized by joblessness, poverty, and inequality. We've heard some of your views about COSATU and the strike. We've heard from our reporters about some of the strikers that have been happening. Let's hear from the COSATU Secretary General himself. Solly Petwe joins us now. Solly, good evening to you. Successful day for you, do you feel?
Good evening, good afternoon, and good afternoon to our listeners. Yes, our action from all the non-provinces were successful. We have been receiving some reports we think that our action was successful, even though not all workers who came out, but we can safely say that it was a successful action.
Was it well attended, Solly? It wasn't exactly a national shutdown, though.
Yes, no, it wasn't not a national shutdown. Because when you do a national shutdown, it means it's a total stay away. This was not a total stay away. It was a strike, a marches in terms of the socio-economic crisis that we are facing in terms of the Section 77 notice that we have applied in that we got from the network. Therefore, total shutdown. But the action was successful in terms of what we wanted, and we have presented our memorandum to number of premiers in all the 9 provinces and ministers and deputy ministers who were able to come and receive the memorandum, including some business people who came there and raising the issues, in particular the issue of the retrenchment that is continuously crippling the economy, but also continue to put workers under a tremendous pressure of the high cost of living, including issues of companies like security companies, 4,000 security companies who are deducting the salaries and monies of workers and not be paid where they're supposed to be paid. We call for an action from the Department of Labour that those employers who have done those things is against the law, is criminal, is fraud. Therefore, there must be an action taken against them. But we also call for government for improving business, not to retrenchment. But because Bill Busa yesterday in their interview, they said the COSATU action is not a solution. We asked them what is the solution. They are unable to respond. We are saying the resolution is to stop the retrenchment. Let's go to the table and see how we then avoid a retrenchment that is taking place in this country. We are also saying to the government of the Western Cape, go to retrenchment of 2,400 educators. We are saying all workers who are employed as temporary workers, who are employed as the extended public works program, casual workers, workers who were dismissed by Macro, Walmart. You remember the strike of Walmart, Massmart last year. We demand that all those workers must be reinstated unconditionally, and that municipalities that are not paying workers must pay workers. We also included the issue of the gender-based violence that we see is increasing. We're calling our police and we're calling our NPA to take a drastic action against those who have continued to practice or to continue with the issues of gender-based violence, including the racial discrimination that we see. You will recall that in Limpopo, we had a farmer who killed 4 women and dumped them into the pigsty, and that we think that NPA must never make a mistake to give that person a bail. That person must rot in jail.
Solly,
we are also saying to the government, we want the president of the country to take action against ministers who undermine his responsibility, like there is one who undermined the Bella Amendment Act, including the implementation of the NHI and protecting the labor rights, including the implementation of the national minimum wage.
Solly, you're very closely aligned with the ANC. You're in the tripartite alliance. Why do you march and not sit down with the leaders of the ANC and give these demands to them and let them implement these into law?
Well, you will recall that the ANC, the political party, is not they are not in business. These issues of retrenchment and the undermining the law is the business that is doing this thing. We are calling government not to fall on the trap of business people who are doing this thing. The government of the ANC, its responsibility is to make sure that people respect the laws. That's what we are calling for them. So the ANC is not a business people. They are not business.
Is that the end of Solly Petwe?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, you disappeared, Solly. You were saying the government's not in business. Tell us more.
I'm saying the government is not in business. What government is expected to do is to make sure that they follow and monitor business to implement the labor laws in this country.
Yes. So are they doing that or not?
They are doing it, but they are not doing it. That's why we call for the Minister of Labour to intensify the inspectorate tomorrow I will be addressing the conference of the inspectors in KZN. We are going to raise some of these issues where we think that government is failing us on some of these issues.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Solly Patrick, COSATU General Secretary, feeling that today's day of action was successful. We're going to get a little bit more. We're hopefully going to go back down to the Western Cape where we were struggling to get hold of our reporter. We're also going to go to the Northwest. Tumeleng Khajane is watching what's been happening there. Now, though, we got sport coming up in a moment. Get an update on what both the Proteas are doing. First, headlines at 4:30.
For the headlines at 4:30, I am Dino Mutaung. Good afternoon. Umkhonto Sizwe Party parliamentary leader Dr. Jon Gericke has resigned from the Judicial Service Commission. In other news, Trade Union Federation COSATU has given business and government 14 days to respond to his memorandum of demands, and a large number of fighters from a former Sudanese rebel group have arrived in Al Fasher to help defend the city against attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R24 eastbound in Kempton Park has a fatal crash reported before the Barbara Road exit, causing delays. And the M1 southbound slow moving through Crown Interchange towards Boysons. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg has a crash reported after Ashburton exit, causing delays. The N3 southbound in Howick has a truck crash reported near Lions River, and traffic lights not working at the M7 St. John's Avenue and the M13 highway in Pine Town. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow moving towards Jiptiaga Drive. Marine Drive outbound in Milnerton has heavy traffic towards Woodbridge Island. Lesbia Parkway southbound and Observatory is slow moving towards the N2 highway, and Victoria Road is slow moving through Camps Bay. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Tumi, what's happening? So much cricket to watch.
So much cricket to watch. We're starting things off at the T20 Women's World Cup, where the Proteas have won the toss and they elected to bat first in their second ICC Women's T20 World Cup match against England. South Africa currently sitting on 51 for 1. Tasman Brits out for 13, and they're in the 9th over. Meanwhile, moving over to the Proteas men's side, Ireland obviously batting first. They are on 215 for 3. After 40 overs, is their third and final ODI against the Proteas men. In football, Mamelodi Sundowns and Bafana goalkeeper Ronan Williams is currently leading the English fan voting poll for the Yashin Trophy at the Ballon d'Or Awards. While Williams is dominating the English voting, he faces challenges in the French poll and is currently outside the top 5. I just voted actually earlier on, and he was sitting on 68.7%. Have you voted, John?
I haven't yet. I'm gonna go later.
Please, can we just vote for our South African? Now, he has made history as the first African goalkeeper nominated for this prestigious award while playing on the continent. If he wins, he will become the first South African to win this award. In the meantime,
where do you vote?
On the CAF
website.
Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong. Research. I think so. Yeah. But Bafana legend Elroy van Heerden says that it's heartwarming to see the love and support that Williams is receiving from the country and the continent at large.
It's great stuff, being celebrated all over the world, I think, and being acknowledged for the work that he's put in. It's like you were saying, he's from P, so we're all proud, we're all really behind him, and for him to win that award will be something big, and let's hope for the best,
So yeah, we'll definitely keep you up to date in terms of how to vote. I think you have found it. Have you found it? Oh, you're getting there. Elsewhere, Manchester City have won their legal case against the Premier League over its associated party transaction rules. The rules are designed to prevent clubs from inflating commercial deals with companies linked to their owners. City launched this legal action against the Premier League, arguing that the APT rules were unlawful, but this case is not linked to the club's hearing into their 115 alleged breaches of Premier League financial rules. Elsewhere, Belgium defensive midfielder Amadou Onana will miss this month's Nations League matches due to a hamstring injury. Wolfsburg's midfielder Asta has been called up to replace Onana for the games against Italy and France on the 10th and the 14th of October. Onana missed Aston Villa's goalless draw with Manchester United after picking up the injury during their 1-0 win over Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Finally, in basketball, LeBron James and Bronny James made NBA history by becoming the first father-son duo to play together on the same team during the Los Angeles Lakers preseason game against the Phoenix Suns. Bronny, who's in his 20th birthday, entered the court during the second quarter in a 118-114 defeat by the Suns. Never before had a father and son played in an NBA game of any type, including preseason at the same time. LeBron scored 19 points on the night with 4 assists and 5 rebounds, while Bronny went scoreless during his 13-minute run, finishing the 2 rebounds and 4 turnovers. Have you found it? Have you voted?
I got it. I have voted. You find it at l'équipe.fr. It's that French newspaper.
L'équipe.fr.
L-E-Q-U-I-P-E. L-E-Q-U-I-P-E.fr. Ron Williams is miles ahead, but don't let that change your voting. Yeah. So he's on 68%. The next best is 14%. Psh.
Guys, vote.
Vote anyway. You vote for all of the Ballon d'Or nominees. So the men, the women.
Who did you vote for player of the...
Oh, I just fast forwarded. I just picked anybody to get to Ronman.
What do you mean anybody?
I just clicked a name. I wanted to vote for Ronman.
Can you not vote for Vinicius Jr. at least?
Well, I don't know. He's leading at the moment.
Yeah, I think he deserves it.
Bonmati's leading for women. Yamal's leading for the Copper Trophy. Ronman's leading. Ancelotti for Real Madrid is ahead of Bayer Leverkusen and Manchester City for Coach of the Year.
Really? And Pep?
Pep is third at the moment.
Really?
But that's tight. There's only 5% in it.
Interesting.
So I just randomly picked. See, I just went to Ronman. Now I'm going to go back and I'll do it properly.
Okay. I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The Blue Sharks want to dive deep and secure 3 points to keep the second position in Group C. While the Zebras of Southern Africa are searching for their first win, they want to escape from the basement. Who will enjoy the final whistle dance of celebration? This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco. Cape Verde versus Botswana on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Let's get the latest market news. Makwe Masalela is Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Data Tech has some trading updates today, Makwe.
Definitely. An afternoon to you and to the listeners. Remember, this is an international ICT company and all their divisions delivered improved financial performance. The guys expect their profits as headline earnings per share to increase by 74%. John, remember, most of their offerings are in demand. Cybersecurity, network infrastructure, data center solutions, etc. And the share price is up nicely, 4%.
And what else happening in the markets today?
Local international markets, we see that this week's U.S. inflation data for September will be keenly anticipated after Friday's stronger than expected jobs report reassured investors who had been concerned that the economy was weakening. Data will likely shape the expectations around the size and pace of Fed rate cuts, and U.S. Central Bank is to publish the minutes of their September meeting, and earnings season gets underway, and locally we'll be watching the production side of our economy, that is the manufacturing and mining production data for August. And remember, the healthy U.S. jobs market erased concerns about the economic slowdown, but also blunted the prospect of another jumbo interest rate cut, and tensions in the Middle East seems to be tempering hopes about an improved global economic outlook, and all erased earlier losses as the market waited to see if Israel will retaliate against Iran, with U.S. President discouraging a strike on Iran's crude oil fields, and Brent crude is up 1.5% at $79 a barrel, and gold prices fell as well as they were nursing a tumble from highs as strong U.S. job numbers fueled bets on a smaller interest rate cut, and we see the euro metal is down 0.3% at $2,644, just like platinum down 0.3% at $983, and fading rate bets are lifting bond yields, pushing stocks down, and in other instances sideways, with the JSE being flat, and the rand firmed almost 0.4% against the US dollars, now trading 17.40 and 22.73 against the pound, and 19.08 against the euro.
Keeping a close eye on that oil price and the rand dollar. It's like, I don't know how you guys do it. Makwe Maselela, thank you very much. Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
It's just gone 20 to 5. I'm John in for Ashraf back on Wednesday. As you heard, the National Day of Action by COSATU is ongoing. We're going around the nation, getting an update on what's been happening in the different regions. We go to Rustenburg now. Itumeleng Khajane has been watching what's been happening there. Itumeleng, good afternoon to you. Successful protest in Rustenburg today?
Indeed, good afternoon to you and to the listeners at home. Indeed, it was a successful march led by COSATU in Rustenburg. No incidents were reported. They marched from the point where they started until they presented the memorandum.
Who did they hand the memorandum to? Because we've heard a couple of marches went to individual businesses.
Yeah, indeed, they managed to hand over the memorandum to the Labour Department, represented by its head here in the Northwest, as well as Impala Platinum Mine and Anglo-American Platinum Mine, which are, operating here in Rustenburg.
Yeah, we've seen big issues with mines out in the Northwest. It's really that province is struggling. I guess that's what they're protesting against. And was it well supported?
Yeah, basically, I suppose in Northwest that the major issue out of all the issues that were raised by COSATU, I think in the Northwest, the major issue will be that of unemployment. We've seen a lot of mining companies retrenching their employees. And you would remember that Q2 Labour survey Labour Force survey by State SA indicates that Northwest is actually at 54.2% unemployment rate, at 54.2% in terms of the unemployment rate. When you're looking at the expanded definition, which includes discouraged workers. So it's still, with regard to official rate, over 40%, and it's leading still. So they were lashing at the mining companies operating in Rustenburg, but not only in Rustenburg, in other parts of the province, saying that the province is endowed in mineral resources, but it's failing to create jobs. Whilst it's failing to do that, mining companies are also retrenching, and which is, according to them, very unfair.
Itumeleng Khajane, thank you very much. SABC News reporter out in Rustenburg in the Northwest with that update. We are still trying to get down to the Western Cape, and we'll see, I think we're going to a couple of other spots as well. But we'll also talk to an economics reporter later on about Eskom, but we might talk about the strike, the Day of Action that COSATU embarked on today. What do you make of all of this? Let us know. 086 000 2032. You can send us a voice note as well on 0614 104 107. Let's take a voice note. Solomon in KZN, we're going to come to you in a moment. Let's just take a couple of voice notes on COSATU.
Hello, John. Trevor here from the Eastern Cape. John, I just want to say that the workers must stop allow themselves to be deceived by COSATU, because COSATU is only about themselves, and they are in bed with the ANC. And second of all, when the workers strike, COSATU doesn't pay us out. COSATU doesn't give us a cent. For instance, if we strike for 2-3 days, we lose the day's money. COSATU doesn't refund us, but they they get millions from us. They're living in nice houses, drive nice cars, and we the workers must suffer. Thank you, John.
Let's take a call. 086 000 2032. Solomon, hi, go ahead.
John, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to comment and condemn really the escalation of hostilities and internecine that is going on in the Middle East. Because parties involved, but I think leading them being Israel by being stubborn and arrogant. And it doesn't have terms like amicable solution, diplomacy, coexistence, two-state solution as proposed many a times. And this thing is a reflection on the power and the potency of the United Nations, particularly the Security Council. I think it's now time that we reflect on that as family of nations. It's no longer helpful in terms of maintaining world peace, social justice, equality, and everything, and defending self-determination of various nations. I think the majority of nations who are in the United Nations are in disagreement with what is happening in the Middle East. However, because there is members of the Security Council who can veto, when the majority is saying there has to be a ceasefire, only one member who has veto power can simply oppose that particular move, and the whole nation in the area suffers in the process.
Yeah, we spoke about this last week, Solomon. We were talking about the United Nations. It's we were hoping to get 2 African states onto the Security Council, and it was like, what's the point? Because we can shout as loud as we want, but as long as the US or China or Britain have these veto powers, Russia, what's the point?
We have to continue tinkering on till there is an impact, because this really we can't continue with a status quo where one party uses chemical weapons, using fighter jets, using everything to attack even schools and hospitals. We cannot fold our arms and say because the Western powers are powerful, then that's it. We must live with it. We must continue to make the message very strong.
See, I think that message is there. There's definitely a very loud message, I feel. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong places. I feel there's a very loud message from everybody to say stop the war. But even,
change.
Let's face it, even if the whole world, let's say every single nation said stop the war tomorrow, do you think Benjamin Netanyahu, and I'm calling him out specifically, would stop the war?
If the majority of nations can say we are walking out of this structure because it's useless and leave
so you're focusing on the UN,
Germany, USA being 5, and then they come up with their own structure which is going to be respectful and will command respect whenever somebody misbehaves.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Solomon in KwaZulu-Natal, thank you very much. Condemning it. And what is the point? And we raised this last week. I want to ask the question again. What's the point of the Security Council? America, and we spoke about this last week as well, and I'm going to raise it again. Last week, America, no, we want peace. We want everything to stop the war. But they're also giving weapons. You give weapons over here, and you say stop the war over here. It makes no sense in my head. And I said the same thing last week, and we will say it again next week, and we'll say it the week after. It just does my head in. I don't understand the doublespeak that is coming from people. People are dying every single day. Thousands of people are dying. As Solomon was saying, schools and hospitals. And you can argue till you're blue in the face that that's where they're hiding. I don't care. You don't blow up a school, you don't blow up a hospital. We just got angry about a teacher who raped a schoolgirl with a caller earlier on. Yeah, we should be even more angry when hundreds of kids or tens of kids are killed when a bomb hits a school. I'm going to take an ad break in a second. Let's take some voice notes on the government's national unity.
Good afternoon, John. The GNU, the so-called GNU EFF, has failed within the 100 days, as they say. But them are a bunch of failures. They couldn't win in the 2024 elections. What did they do? How did they fail? They are a bunch of failures themselves. Lizzo from Brixton.
Good afternoon, John. It's Mac in Durban. 100 years after GNU. GNU is nothing, but it just rewards DA. Just been rewarded for its big fat lie. This campaign against ousting the ANC. The ANC promised them a few cabinet posts. They made a whole lot of deputy minister posts, bloating the cabinet to what it is now. Gave them 1-2 minister positions, and they're happy. So the ANC rewarded these guys after lying to the voters. The voters are gullible. They thought that DA is genuine. All they wanted was to be in parliament and occupy 1-2 seats. And the blue light, that it is. That's what it is.
We'll hear from the EFF after the news at 5 o'clock. We'll talk to the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters on their views of the 100 days of the government and national unity.
The Desert Warriors are looking for their third victory to maintain a 100% winning record. Togo are fighting for their first win after 2 draws in their opening 2 matches. This is the top of the table contest in Group E. Experience the journey to Morocco in the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Algeria versus Togo on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Those who love the game say chess is the gymnasium of the mind. The world's top chess players will showcase exciting fast chess played among 6 teams in search of the ticket to the ultimate glory. This is the 2nd season of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. Catch the Global Chess League 2024 action from 3 to 12 October, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
All right, let's have a 9 minutes therapy session, I think. I'm hoping it's going to be a positive one, because what does happiness look like to you? Have you got a formula for attaining true happiness? Executive Coach Director of Beyond the Dress, Laurie Milner, believes there's a way that you can discover your own formula for happiness. Laurie Milner joins me on the line. Laurie, we now have 8 minutes. Can you give me a formula? Can you help me with a formula in 8 minutes to be happy?
Okay, so if you think about an area of your life that you are satisfied with now, even bold enough to say that you are happy with now, and, for some of us, it's my health, it could be my relationship with my kids, my work, and the reason why it's an area that we're happy with is because we've all got a blueprint of how we think life is supposed to be, and when reality matches our blueprint, we're happy. And then if I said to you, but think about an area of life that you're not happy with, and you could say, equally one of those that I mentioned, it's because the blueprint is not matching reality. And often we feel like, I should be further by now, or I should have earned this by now, or whatever it might be. And I think we're the ones that take away the happiness, because we may have created this blueprint many years ago, which doesn't match the values we have today, who we are today, and we're basing this concept of happiness on how we think it should be versus how it is.
Okay, so I don't know. Think of it. I'm going to use me as an example. I'm happy because I can run, as opposed to I want to do a 30-minute 5K. So that makes me unhappy. Rather focus on the positive bit, the fact that I wanted to run, and I am.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful. It's about even just acknowledging the win. It's an acknowledging I'm on the way.
Right.
And I think what otherwise tends to happen is when we keep saying, but I'm not there yet, or I should be further by now, we've got 3 choices. So we can either blame and go, I'm not where I am because, and we can blame whether it was COVID or this person or the economy. But that choice is never going to work, because as soon as you're blaming something external, you take away your own power and control. So the 2 choices we've got is to say, maybe I need to recreate my blueprint. Maybe I created this when I was in a different life stage. Now I've got a family, or, maybe you had a health crisis and you've got different priorities. So it's saying, actually what I thought I wanted doesn't really match who I am today. What is it that I'm striving for? And the last decision is to say, actually, if that is still my blueprint, what are the actions I need to take? What do I need to do differently? Because it's behavior that's going to move us forward. It's action.
If I'm a perfectionist, I like to get things right. If I get things wrong, I'm very down on myself, and I feel it. So how do I keep on going? That goal is always just there or thereabouts. So how do I stay happy if I'm not reaching it?
So the phrase that I love to use, and all of the best phrases are always borrowed, and I borrowed this phrase from Brendan Burchard, and he speaks about striving satisfied. And what I love about that is it's saying, I'm striving, I've got these goals, I still want to achieve this, but it's not putting your happiness at the mercy of when you get there. So it's not when I, publish the book then. It's or whatever the goal is for you. It's while you're on the journey. It's focusing, and we know it's almost a cliche, but it's the joy is the process. It's the day-to-day. It's what am I learning on the way? Who am I becoming in the process? And the thing about perfectionism, the difference between a perfectionist and a high performer is focus. Because a high performer will have high standards of excellence, but they will allow a mistake, a setback, as feedback to say, okay, here's a better way of doing it differently. This is what I'm not going to do next time. Where a perfectionist has such impossibly high standards for themselves that it's unlikely they're ever going to get there. In fact, I can't remember if you said it, but perfection is the highest form of self-abuse because it's a standard that is just impossible to reach.
Okay, so once I've set a goal and I've successfully reached that goal, now I'm happy for a little bit. Yes. I'm going to be unhappy again because now what?
It's such a great point, and it's such a great question that you raised. And so for me, that's about, and often when I ask my clients and I say, but can you feel content? Like, can you generate contentment now? There's almost a fear of saying, well, if I'm content, then I'm going to stop striving. But contentment is, I've achieved this goal. It's just pausing to recognize your wins because we're not great at doing that. We achieve the goal and we go, okay, fine, what's next? And it's just a savoring. It's a savoring of what I've created. And instead of rushing to the next goal, what's the next thing? What if your next is now? What if it's just enjoying what you've built, still wanting to create in the future, but give yourself that opportunity to internalize the win? Because that's where imposter syndrome shows up, is where we achieve, but we're not integrating it into who we are. And so we keep achieving. We get to the level that we've dreamed about, and that's why we feel like we don't deserve to be there.
So you finally get that job you've always wanted, and you don't give yourself the opportunity of a week, a month, 6 months, whatever the case might be, of saying, I was going to use a bad word, of saying, well done, I've made that position, I've got there. Now let's analyze and go, all right, so that's cool, let's find what's next.
But it's giving yourself the credit first to go, wow, I got you.
Okay.
I deserve,
take that moment.
Take that moment. I deserve to be here. This is my time. And then, of course, we're not stagnant. Of course, we want to say what's next, but don't forget that missing piece, because without it, we're constantly looking for the next role to give us that validation that we're not giving ourselves.
I want to talk about external factors. How important are support structures around you to make you do that?
I think support structures are incredibly important because, A, to have a support structure, say, in your personal life, so even just to have that person that you can share, because to share your goals and to speak them out loud also brings them into reality, and to have someone to encourage you. Not everybody's going to encourage us, unfortunately, so we've got to lean into the right people. But support structures, if you are a leader, support structures in your teams, being having trust in other people that you're working with, because if it's, I see a lot of people moving into micromanaging, or they're trying to protect the team, or they don't want to let go of control, because what if it's not done as perfectly as I would do it? And then people start to take on too much and derail their happiness, because then you're starting to move into a burnout phase. So I think support is being able to trust in others, allow others to trust you, extend trust, but it's incredibly important.
Let's talk about unhappiness, all right? What can lead to unhappiness, not getting to those goals?
For me, unhappiness leads to focus, because what you focus on, you feel. So you could choose to focus on everything that's missing, everything I haven't achieved yet, everything I haven't done. Or you could choose to focus, and that's why gratitude is such a powerful tool, because no matter what's going on or what challenge is happening, gratitude is a focus on, this is what is available to me, this is what I do have. And in fact, Benjamin Hardy wrote a whole book called The Gap in the Game, saying that what we tend to do is we focus on, I'm not there yet.
But if you thought, what would my 20-year-old self say about where I am now, they'd be blown away. So that unhappiness for me, it's largely around focus.
You've listed three things here. You can blame, which is what you're talking about. So it's everybody else's fault. That's the reason I'm not getting employed because of whatever reason. You can change your blueprints, which is a positive thing, and you can take new actions. Those are the positive ones, those last two.
Yes. And I think also, and so what's interesting is when you say what is unhappiness. So unhappiness actually is a lot of the causes when we believe three thoughts. And Martin Seligman, who's the grandfather of positive psychology, said what happens is we move into a place of learned helplessness. And what that means is based on past experience, we make a decision that I am now powerless to change the situation. I have zero control over it. And the three, as I said, focus areas, the one thought is it's permanent. So this is never going to change, I'm never going to move through this. The second one is it's pervasive. So I failed the exam, my whole life becomes a failure. And the third one is personal. Whatever's going on, we're taking it completely personally. And most of the time, it feels like it's happening to us, but it's not. It's whatever the circumstances are. So it's also just being aware of those three thoughts, because that's what pulls us in the direction of unhappiness.
Little food for thought. Laurie Milner, thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Free counselling session. Thank you. Laurie Milner is an executive coach and director of Beyond the Dress. What does your happiness look like? It's 5 o'clock. Time for news with Greg Hoos.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon to you. In this news update, Hlophe resigns from the JSC and manhunt after 6 patrollers gunned down in the Eastern Cape. Good day to you. The MK Party's parliamentary leader, Jon Hlophe, has resigned from the Judicial Service Commission. This has been confirmed by the party spokesperson, Nhlamula Ndlela. His resignation follows an interim interdict by the Western Cape High Court that bars him from taking part in the JSC interviews currently underway in Johannesburg. Soleka Kodashe reports.
In a statement, the MK Party says it has written to National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza withdrawing Hlophe's nomination as one of the designated members to serve on the JSC. The official opposition says the JSC is currently improperly constituted and a violation of the Constitution, as it has failed to meet the prescribed minimum threshold of 3 members from opposition parties. This takes place while Part B of the DA and Corruption Watch's applications were expected to be heard on the 1st of November.
The ANC's application against the official opposition over the use of the name and logo Mkhonto weSizwe has been thrust into the spotlight at the JSC. Judge Mahendra Chetty has been probed about his judgment in the matter by commissioners of the JSC. It's Chetty's first time interviewing for a position in the appellate court. He was questioned about his independence when dealing with high-profile matters, such as the one launched by the ANC. Chetty had this to say.
I'm a fair person. I determine any matter, whether it be high profile or not, based on the facts before me, based on the law before me. I don't succumb to any external pressure. I simply concentrate on the issues and on the law.
Trade Union Federation COSATU has given business and government 14 days to respond to its memorandum of demands. Members affiliated to different unions in Johannesburg marched to the Joburg Stock Exchange against the high unemployment rate, poverty and cost of living crisis. COSATU's Mike Shingange.
After you receive the memorandum, you pay serious attention to that memorandum and you listen and respond to the demands of our members. Otherwise, you shall know no peace, hence moving forward. Because the working class are going to be doing this on a regular basis as the only thing they know that you're going to listen to.
Police are searching for suspects that shot and killed 6 community patrollers at a junior secondary school near Kumbu in the Eastern Cape. Police spokesperson Majolin Kochli.
It is alleged that a group of at least 8 men who were armed with rifles and handguns opened fire to a group of community patrollers. 6 people succumbed to their injuries and 4 victims were rushed to the nearest hospital. It is said that the patrollers were at the school and were preparing for their evening patrols when they were attacked.
A grade 12 learner at a secondary school outside Polokwane in Limpopo has committed suicide due to alleged bullying by some teachers. His body was discovered in a veld over the weekend. Education authorities say the matter is under investigation. The spokesperson for the bereaved family, Anna Maimela, says their son left a suicide note in which he detailed alleged bullying incidents by teachers.
He wrote the letters that the teachers were bullying him. Okay, so he was not able to come to us and talk to us because he was stressed. Sometimes he had headache and he can't talk.
A large number of fighters from a former Sudanese rebel group have arrived in Al Fashir to help defend the city against attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The BBC's Will Ross has more.
The arrival of dozens of vehicles in El Fasher with hundreds of fighters will be a boost for the Sudanese army. The reinforcements are from a rebel group that fought against former President Omar al-Bashir's militias during the Darfur conflict 2 decades ago. Both the army and the RSF have been using heavy weaponry in densely populated areas around El Fasher. And over the weekend there was another sign that negotiations stand little chance of succeeding. A senior government representative walked out of a peace forum in South Africa as soon as an RSF delegate showed up.
The top story is that the MK party's parliamentary leader Jon Gericke has resigned from the JSC. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Hoos.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Pogba's doping suspension cut from 4 years to 18 months, and the Proteas women looking to continue with winning ways in their second ICC Women's T20 World Cup match against England. More details at 5:30.
So thank you, Tumi. We'll have more. There's a voice note for you later on about voting. So I don't know. It's just written there. It says Tumi voted, so I'm assuming it's for you. But we'll play that later on. You're with SAFM at 5:06. Is everything up and running? I think so, just about. Let's see. In a moment, we're going to talk to the EFF. Oh, there we go. The screen's just exploded. We talk to the EFF. 100 days of the government to national unity has been defined by failure and an entrenchment of austerity, privatization and unemployment. We'll hear what the EFF has to say about that, and you as well. And we celebrate Ntombozoko Mkizwana, Deputy Principal from the Mandela School of Science and Technology in Mveza Village. She was named the Best Teacher of the Year at the 24 National Teaching Awards that took place this past weekend. So we're going to do a little bit of celebrating as well. As always, phone lines are open, 086 000 2032, and you can send us a voice note as well on 0614 104 107. So that number again, 0614 104 107. I see a couple of voice notes, texts that are coming through. Hi SAFM, the comments from callers and the presenters so ignorant that it is unbelievable! ! No knowledge of the history of that area and people who live there, says Kathy in Johannesburg. Kathy, you're welcome to give us a call. Educate us. Help us out. Kathy, on 086 000 2032. Look forward to your call. In fact, let's have a look. See the phone lines. Yeah, phone lines are open, Kathy. Give us a call. More than happy to take your calls and your messages. Let's go to, we're going to go to that in a moment. Let's take voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Yes, John. I wonder whoever is advising Zuma in his puppet so-called MK party, how can you fight a losing battle? These lawyers are only after money. They know that they knew that Hlophe won't succeed, but they went to court. Waste of money. It's Karakara here, Jamestown.
Hi, Kosato, they know that what they must do, but they beat about the bushes. They know that they must go straight to the employers. But instead of going straight to the employers, they decided to walk in the street. Instead of going straight to the employers, and Kosato is a union. He knows exactly that what they must do, but they are avoiding that what they must do. So I don't think that Kosato did a right thing, and I don't think that we can appreciate that something that is done by Kosato, because it's just a waste of time.
We'll take more voice notes and your calls later on in the show. It's 5:10.
Africa from Within follows the journey of our anchor presenters who travel to various locations in order to delve into the inner workings and untold stories of the unsung heroes. At its core, Africa from Within is all about grassroots storytelling and the showcasing of the conservation contributions of ordinary people to Africa. It aims to engage and entertain viewers, educate and promote conservation, and inspire viewers to value our natural heritage. Don't miss Africa from Within on SABC2 every Friday at 7 p.m.
Friday nights in Gqeberha will never be the same. Bafana are taking on the Congo at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium on the 11th of October 2024 at 7 p.m. Come early, dressed to support Bafana. Sit in our Guijo stand for a chance to win prizes. Gates open at 4 p.m. and tickets start from 60 Rand for adults and 140 for a family ticket. 2 adults and 2 children with special rates available at 30 Rand for children under 12. Scholars in uniform and students with student cards at all Ticket Pro outlets. If you can't make it to Gqeberha, catch the game live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 at 7 p.m. or visit sabcsport.com. For more details, visit safa.net and Bafana on X and TikTok.
5:10. You're with SAFM. I'm John in for Ashraf. It's the National Pulse. The EFF says that the first 100 days of the government's national unity have been defined by failure and entrenchment, austerity, privatization and unemployment. Also of the view that the coalition has exhibited no practical direction of what it has or will practically do for South Africans. Let's talk to Ompile Maatwe, is the Treasury General of the EFF. Ompile, thank you very much. I note in the statement that you keep referring to it as the so-called GNU, or you put it in inverted commas. Why do you say that?
Not a GNU, it's a grand coalition with the DA. And Madam Zille even confirmed that it's not a GNU, it's not a government of national unity. It is actually indeed a grand coalition with the DA. She went on to say, Ramaphosa is the one who came up with that concept when they met. But the reality is that on the table, what was presented was the grand coalition with the DA. And it makes sense if you look at who is very influential in the coalition. It's really indeed a grand coalition with the Democratic Alliance.
Okay, tell us about the 100 days. How do you rate it?
So 100 days is marked with disaster, John, because you've seen in our statement we did mention, but obviously our statement was limited. We couldn't write a 10-page statement. So at the core of this is the jobs. If you look at the manifestos of the Democratic Alliance, talks about jobs. The ANC talks about jobs, FF Plus talks about jobs, but the reality is that they're not doing anything, including the statement by the president, by the way, on the opening of the 7th administration. And then he came with initiatives, 10 initiatives of what he's going to do in the 100 days. The first one, he said there will be a presidential employment stimulus that would create 1.7 million work and livelihood opportunities. Now, the first thing is, what exactly is this work and livelihood opportunities that he's talking about? But also, while we're still waiting to grasp what he's talking about, the reality is that SSA then issued a report, a quarterly report, that shows that in the past 100 days, there's actually been an increase in the unemployment rate in the country, an increase from 32.9% to 33.5%, meaning just closer to 160,000 people actually lost their jobs. So there are the parties that came to speak and lure voters to vote for them, and then they also went into office, came up with initiatives that says we are going to cap the unemployment in the country, but the reality is the opposite. And if you look at the sectors that contributed to this decline, to this increase in the unemployment, it's agriculture, it's construction, it's trade, it's finance, and all those sectors contributed to the increase in unemployment rate. The second one, John, that we see here is where the president is talking about the freight rail and port systems. This GNU, so-called GNU, is going to privatize the national assets of this country. They are actually accelerating on that one. Why am I saying that? Because one, they appointed Greenrod to manage the Richards Bay port, which previously was one of the best performing ports in the country, which needed no assistance. Number two, we look at the Devon port. They want to take a company from Philippines to come and assist and oversee the Devon port. That company from Philippines, if you go and look at even the top 10 in the world, best ports management system, it doesn't appear. Out of the 10 ports, best ports in the world, I think 8 of them is China, and then there's Singapore, and then there's Dubai. Why didn't, if they want efficiency and effectiveness, why didn't they go to China? Why did they go to take ICTSI? It's because they are privatizing this country. They are taking our national assets and giving them to their friends. John, they are celebrating a little 0.4 growth in the economy. What is 0.4?
That was going to be my next question on Pile. This is a very big ship that needs to be turned around. Should we not be celebrating the victories?
0.4. 0.4, John, in a country where the majority of the people remain unemployed. 0.4 in a country where even during COVID, indeed, we did not perform at this. We are now having what they term the best people forward. They put their best foot forward, but they can't assist us with the growth of the economy. It's madness, honestly. And if that's what we are going to be told to celebrate, just a mere 0.4%, we must know that we are in for big trouble. John, my third point is the teachers. Even the minister herself, she did come and say there might be loss of jobs in the basic education department because of the austerity measures that are put forward. Now, education is what should ordinarily uplift the living conditions of our people. If the teachers can't be paid, if the teachers are going to be cut in their numbers already, there is a crisis of teachers in the country. With the little teachers that we have, we are now having a threat of losing even more teachers. Our schools are going to be understaffed. They are going to continue to be understaffed. Our children, the ratio of teacher to child is going to increase. And majority of our people, actually, what will be impacted is black and public schools. White schools will remain flourishing because they remain untouchable. We touched on the issue of the Bella bill in our statement. And we are saying, actually, President Ramaphosa should actually be called to go before the Ethics Committee of Parliament. He has no right, John, to flood the process like he did. The bill went through all the process, including public hearings. Then it went back to Parliament to be voted into law. The overwhelming majority of parliamentarians voted for it. President, what he had to do was to sign. There has not been any court judgment that says this section of the act or the bill is unconstitutional. So he has got no right to say, I'm signing but excluding 1, 2, 3 because I'm still consulting. Which mandate does he get? Where does he get the mandate to reopen a process that was closed already by Parliament? He is urinating on the Parliament process, he is deflagging the Parliament process, and he's undermining everybody, every South African. Because you can't go and open a bill that has been closed. Now, the last one, John, I promise the last one, is the cost of data. We are told about auctioning of the broadcast spectrum that will lead to the lower data cost. But the reality is that the data cost has not gone down, John. So this so-called GNU is a gloom day. They brought a gloom day in South Africa, a doom day in South African lives. Our people remain unemployed. Poverty levels have risen. Inequality has risen. Honestly, GNU is just a disaster.
You also have a go at the international policies?
Come again?
You have a go at the international policies as well?
Of course, I do. What we see now happening with the ICC case of Palestine and Israel is that, of course, we filed our documents. We're waiting for Israel to file. But, John, we are told about some lobbying that is happening in the U.S. to lobby for the U.S. to detach themselves in terms of diplomatic call with South Africa. So they are threatening us here in South Africa to say, if you continue pushing, we're going to have a diplomatic relations problem. Now, the so-called ANC government is in bed with the AfriForum through FF Plus and the GA. We have always been against South Africa supporting Palestine. So what are we going to see here? These lobby groups are going to continue, and they're going to threaten the diplomacy and threaten that they will pull away and therefore collapse the economy of this country even more. The mouthpieces of these U.S. people are sitting in the cabinet with the same president called Ramaphosa. That is the DA and the FF+. So really, South Africa, we are in a disaster. This 5 years is going to be very bad for our country.
Just quickly, we got 2 minutes. 100 days, it's a good gauge on how things have done. Do you want to give it more time? Or, as you say, do you feel it's only downhill from here?
No, it's 100 days. That's what they said. So when you take a position, John, you are the CEO of a company. You say, okay, I find this company here from point A. I want to move to point B.
Right.
And how do I move to point B? I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've just listed to you now. Go and check the phone address of President Ramaphosa, the open address. Those are the initiatives we came with. None of them have materialized, except one where they're privatizing the railways in the country, where they need to actually industrialize. How do you industrialize when you are selling the assets of the state to your friends? You are not going to industrialize. If you don't industrialize, you will not create jobs. If you don't create jobs, there will not be economic growth.
We need to wrap it up there. Mpile Mootwe, thank you very much. Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters. What do you make of all of that? Give us a call, 086 000 2032, and you can send a voice note as well on 0614 104 107.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses, pay yours, make a difference.
EFC 118 promises to be one of the most scintillating fight nights in recent memory with two standout matchups. Fresh off his incredible run in The Ultimate Fighter, Rody Roots battles for the interim featherweight strap against deadly kickboxing specialist Ayanda Zwane, whilst the co-main event witnesses the return of the one and only Martin the Punisher Van Staden, who takes on fellow veteran Hanru the Bully Boda. EFC 118 from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
John in for Ashraf. Now, the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, General Fani Masemola, visited the crime scene where 6 community patrollers were shot and killed near Qobo in the Eastern Cape. A host of dignitaries there as well, including our reporter Nkululeko Nyembezi, who was along with all the dignitaries, SABC News reporter. Nkululeko, thank you very much. What can you tell us? What's the latest, and what did the Commissioner see?
The Commissioner, Fani Masemola, was very shocked because he was accompanied by the MSC for Community Safety here in the Eastern Cape and also Provincial Commissioner, and then they visited the scene, and then they had a chat with the community members who were traumatized because this incident happened last night at around about 11 o'clock, whereby 6 members of this community policing forum were gunned down, and 4 of them, in fact 4 members were seriously injured and then taken to hospital. Then he told them, the committee members now, that the police are following the lead because there are 3 members who are alleged, who are believed to be behind this shooting here. You remember that the issue about stock theft is one of the things that really could be behind the whole killings here in the Qumbu area.
That's what the police are investigating, if it has to do with the stock theft syndicates.
Yes, that is what that's what the police are investigating. Because even the community here, we just interacted with them, and then they're saying no, this thing has to do with the stock theft because it has been going on for some time now. Then people have been killed, and then women have been raped because stock thieves, they just go to a particular homestead and then grab or take the livestock by force. So they were also urging the committee, the National Commissioner, to do something, but they believe that this can be kept if maybe police intensify their strategies to combat this stock theft criminality.
Kululeko, do you know if there's any connection, or is there any talk about a connection between these and the killing of the 18 people in Lusikisiki?
Not at all. Not at all. Remember that those people in Lusikisiki that were brutally killed were attending, it was a night vigil ahead of a traditional ceremony where they were supposed to be doing something about the one who passed away last year. Right. Then this one has to do with stock theft, according to the people on the ground and according to the eyewitnesses that we spoke to.
Obviously, targeting CPF members, these are members that would stop criminals, which is why obviously they did this. How do other CPF members feel if you've managed to speak to them?
They are really shocked, and then they fear for their life because some of them, the villagers here were armed with traditional weapons like your pangas, your nepkiris, and the bush knives. It was their fear that they don't know when these people can come back and attack them. Then we asked them, what about these weapons? They said, no, that's the only way to protect ourselves because we don't have guns, we have nothing. These people would just come maybe and attack them. This is a way maybe of protecting themselves. But the National Commissioner spoke to them and promised them that there will be patrol. The police will be patrolling the village of Kodime and surrounding areas throughout the night because they were asking him, are we really safe as a community now that you guys are gone? Then we'll be left alone here. Some of us have been killed and all the stuff. So are we really safe? And then National Commissioner Masemula confirmed that there will be police patrolling the village.
Besides the stock theft angle, are there any other leads?
Well, so far they are not, because this information, the one that we are talking about right now, the information that we got from the police, from the provincial police and the national commissioner, so and it's about livestock, because we remember that we have been reporting about brutal killing of people with regard to stock theft in the area of Kumbu, Tsolo, and Man Fletcher and Matatiele. So it is rife, it is very rife here in this part of the Eastern Cape. So police have just confirmed, in fact, assured the community that they will intensify their strategies to make sure that they combat stock theft-related crimes.
Just to wrap it up, will CPF members still be going out and patrolling after this?
Well, I doubt from this village. Maybe somewhere else, but here in this village, they are traumatized. They are shocked. Tomorrow is a schooling. The school was declared as a crime scene. We're not sure whether maybe the learners or children will need maybe some sort of counseling and stuff. But we'll come back and see what's going on. Otherwise, the whole village is traumatized.
Kululeko Nyembezi, thank you very much. SABC News reporter on the shooting and killing near Kumbu in the Eastern Cape of 6 community patrollers. As you heard, possibly got to do with stock theft. That's what the police are investigating, and we'll keep a close eye on that.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Couple of minutes to the news at 12:30. Chaka is in Bloemfontein. Hello, Chaka.
Hi, John. John, I just want to say shortly, I think the world must not be fooled. I mean, the two-state solution is just a pipe dream. It will never happen. Mm-hmm. You see, Hamas and Hezbollah and the Palestinians, even the West Bank, Nablus and East Jerusalem, all of them are under attack and with the purpose of extermination. The whole thing is Netanyahu does not even want to talk anything about the two-state solution. Neither does America want to say anything about the two-state solution. So that one, and the real, enemy that Hezbollah and Hamas is facing is the USA. Even the Iran is facing potentially the USA. The USA is very active there. It's not that they are standing and it's just watching the fighting going on. They're actively involved, as much as they are involved in Ukraine as well.
They say they're defending Israel.
No. It's not a question of defending Israel. They're part of the establishment, part of the imperialism or the takeover of Palestine. I mean, these are the people who took over who gave the land to Israel in 1948, and ever since the region, the entire territory was given to Israel, there has been a Nakba, a systematic elimination of Palestinians. Well, the problems of Palestine didn't start last year in October 7. They started 60 years ago.
Quickly, Chaka, what is the solution for you? What do you feel should happen now?
No, the solution is a two-state solution, but it won't happen.
Right.
So I don't know what will happen there. Otherwise there must just be an all-out war, and then whoever wins will assume the region there.
Worryingly, it seems as if that's what's happening at the moment. Chaka in Bloemfontein with his views on what should happen in the Middle East. It's 5:30.
Quick look at the headlines of this half hour. The MK Party's parliamentary leader Jon Gericke has resigned from the JSC. The SA Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Unions in the Free State and Northern Cape says the majority of workers are faced with horrifying conditions created by hostile employers. And Cape Town will this week host the Africa Oil Week, where industry leaders from the continent and elsewhere will meet up to discuss oil, gas and energy. There's a full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 southbound in Lindrow Park has a stationary vehicle reported before Marlborough Drive. The M1 southbound is queuing through Crown interchange towards Boysons. The N1 northbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Samrand Road. The N1 southbound in Pretoria has a stationary vehicle before Rigel Avenue in Kempton Park. The R21 northbound has a crash after the R24 airport interchange, causing delays, and the R24 eastbound queuing towards the R21 airport interchange. In KZN, the M4 southbound queuing towards the N2 highway exit. Chris Harney Road westbound is queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound has a crash before Huguenot Tunnel. Trucks are diverted to Du Toitskloof Pass. The N7 Jakes Havel Drive southbound is queuing towards Voortrekker Road. The N2 outbound is slow moving towards the R300 highway. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Kromboom Road, and the M3 southbound slow moving towards Rhodes Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Timmy, before you start, we got 2 voice notes for you. Two voice notes.
Yeah.
First,
hey John, Tini voted, but it's not sure where to vote. She doesn't. And she voted not so long ago, but she doesn't remember where to vote. Not make sure. Do me.
you followed the link.
No, guys, I followed the link, but also proof is because before I even went on air, after my headlines from, I think it was 4 p.m. headlines, I asked John if he voted. Guys, I voted. I even took a picture. Our producer even knows. I was busy making a noise in the newsroom saying, guys, vote for Ronan Williams. I'm not lying.
Because you followed the link. I followed the link to find that keeper as well. I followed the link. You follow the link and you do the vote.
How?
Okay, there's another one.
Hey, John. This is Benito from Vanabel Park. Please, can you tell Kaizer Chiefs Taung to tell his supporters to stop whining? We at Pirates, we teach our children to be streetwise. Our kids are streetwise. They are not like Tanon children. Yeah, they know how to do it in a streetwise form. So whatever happened on that final game there, it was all about being clever.
Being clever. Play the referee. All right, Timmy, what else is happening?
Well, starting off with football, Bafana coach Hugo Bruce has confirmed that Talent Mbata and Jaden Adams have been withdrawn from the Bafana squad to face Congo Brazzaville in a 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying Gqeberha on Friday. Mbata was withdrawn after scans confirmed a knee injury this morning following his side's Pirates participation in the MTN 8 final in Durban on Saturday. Adams, who also played in the same match, was withdrawn due to discipline and they will be replaced by Batusa Obas and Sinokolo Kwaiba. Elsewhere, Paul Pogba's doping suspension has been cut from 4 years to 18 months after experts supported the French football player's insistence that he had unintentionally ingested a banned substance. Pogba was provisionally suspended by Italy's anti-doping organization back in September 2023 after testing positive for a banned substance that raises levels of testosterone. Now with it cut down to 18 months, he will be eligible to play in March. Don't forget to vote for Ronan Williams. Yes, I did vote for Ronan Williams. I just forgot the name of the website. However, title holders Al Ahly will face Orlando Pirates after both were placed in Group C when the CAF Champions League group stage draw took place earlier on. Sierra Belouizdad and Stade Abidjan complete the group, while Mamelodi Sundowns are in Group B alongside Raja Casablanca and FAR Rabat and Manima Union. Remember that the group winners and runners-up qualify for the quarterfinals. In cricket, the Proteas women posted 124 for 6 in the 20 overs against England in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. Now, Captain Laura Fulvard top scored with 42 of 39 balls, and it's time for England to bat. How do you see this one going, John?
I feel
you always have an opinion.
England will win this one, sadly.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Based
it's
on
our hoodoo. No, that's not enough runs, is it?
It's not.
No. I know England's like our hoodoo team at the moment.
It is.
But yeah, it was a good recovery. Well, we were 99 or something at one stage, yeah. So it's a good recovery. But yeah.
Well, we'll wait and see. In terms of the Proteas men, Ireland posted 284 for 9. That is in the third and final ODI against Ireland. And we see Williams taking the top wickets in terms of 4, with those 4 4 wickets falling in the last 2 overs. Then in tennis, 4-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka has pulled out of her home Japan Open next week because of an injury that caused her to retire from the China Open in Beijing. The 26-year-old looked in good touch as she recorded 3 wins at the China Open in Beijing last week, but in her last 16 match against Coco Gauff, Osaka retired at the end of the second set because of a back injury. On that note, it is a wrap from my side. Have
a lucky day. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Righty.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
After registering 4 points in their first 2 matches, the Mambas of Mars target a huge win to keep their top status in Group I. But Stamsen Negati want out of the bottom position. They believe not even the Mozambican heat will stop them from getting their first win. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the meeting between neighbors. Mozambique versus Eswatini on Friday, 11 October at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Moneybird Market Updates 20-odd minutes away from now. Jimmy Yaha, what you got in the program for us?
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to the listeners. Excuse me. We've got a interesting show lined up today. We're going to be digging into that Competition Commission story that you were looking at a little earlier around the food prices. We're going to be speaking to a principal economist from the Competition Commission around that report, trying to understand the driving factors behind that and what we make of that. Then we've got a conversation with the national transmission company as well. I know you touched on that a little earlier on. We're going to be speaking to the chair of the NTCSA, the newly formed entity, trying to understand what their objective is going to be as a transmission company, and most importantly, is that going to make our electricity more expensive? Then we've got a conversation with a BP Southern Africa celebrating 100 years. That's a big milestone for them. We're going to look at that. They want to celebrate that and just share some of the accomplishments they've had over the last little bit of time. And then we've got a conversation as part of our Personal Finance Mondays around budgeting in retirement. More often than not, we have these conversations to say have discussions with your financial advisor prior to retirement and plan for retirement. But when you're in retirement and the money hits your bank account, what do you do? But before we get to that, markets have been bit of a mixed bag today. Not really anything that stands out. We're going to be digging into a lot of these stories. It's still, of course, Golden Week in China, so those markets are still closed. Hong Kong was up in the green, as was the Nikkei in Tokyo. European markets were a bit of a mixed bag, with the CAC 40 and the FTSE 100 in London in the green, but the DAX in Germany finishing in the red. US markets are in the red at the moment. South African markets were marginally in the red. Resources greatly in the red, about 1.2% in the red. Industrials were up about 0.4%. And financials up about 0.1%. As a result, your all share was down 3 basis points, so 0.03%. The top 40 was up by the same margin, 0.03%, so basically flat from where we left them on Friday. The rand gained some ground against all of the major currencies. $1 will cost you 17 rand 41. It was worse off last week. £1 British pound will cost you 22 rand 77 cents. €1, 19 rand 10 cents at the moment. $1 Australian dollar around 11 rand and 77 cents. The gold price is also not doing much, still sitting at the levels it was last week. The Brent crude price is inching closer to $80. It's at $79.70 a barrel. Platinum price, palladium price, kind of unchanged, with platinum slightly weaker, back towards $984 odd an ounce, but palladium holding above $1,018 an ounce. I'm going to be looking at the gold pricing and how it's affecting our gold companies or gold mining companies. We're also going to be taking a look at the decision by Richemont to sell off one of their portfolio assets, but that's coming up a little later on. For now, John, back to you.
I was going to ask you what palladium is used for, but now I know as well. Palladium is used in catalytic converters with platinum. Who knew?
There we go.
I learn something new every day. That's why I listen to you. Jimmy Mia, thank you very much. Money Market Update coming up in about 20 odd minutes.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
086 000 2032. Bobby Jang in the Northern Cape. Go ahead.
Yes, man. I just want to zoom into this war of Ukraine and Russia as well as Gaza. Look, Russia has been fighting NATO as well as in the leadership of America. And these guys have been giving arms to Ukraine, not even caring about negotiating, peace. In 2014, when peace was about to be signed, I remember the Prime Minister of Britain said, no, they shouldn't sign it. So these people that are leading us, these people have killed so many economies as well as people. Now just look now, when United Nations was formed on certain principles, but now Netanyahu is eroding all what the world has built. Just because now America, they are the friends of Israel. We can't live like this. Now they are intimidating the prosecutor of the International Court, which means the court was only right for African leaders as well as Putin. Now, when Netanyahu was supposed to be arrested by Americans, they can't arrest him because he's their friend. In fact, they are intimidating the International Court. This is absolutely wrong and disgusting. So for me, democracy is a scam. Yes.
Well, I was going to say, all right, thank you very much, Baba Jang in the Northern Cape. There are a couple of issues. There have been many attempts at peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, starting back in 2022, 28th of February in Belarus. But you're right. It just seems as if one side agrees, the other side disagrees. Meanwhile, we'll just keep killing people. That's what war lands up as. It's very big men or little men sometimes saying, I want this and I want that, and we'll do all our speeches, but at the end, men, women and children die. And we forget that. Well, we don't forget it. Hopefully we keep raising it. Let's take some voice notes. What do we got? Kasatu, EFF and Kumbu. Let's go.
Yeah, John, no, I've listened to this lady of EFF now. They are doom prophets. Why don't they speak to the ANC and DA and FF Plus and all the other parties, even Gayton McKenzie, so that they can become part of the GNU and see if they can do things better than what it is now, Maybe they should start to do that. Let them come back and beg the other parties to be part,
Afternoon, John. No, that lady from EFF, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. I think this EFF is going to collapse like cope, as we've seen, if you've seen it before. So EFF is no longer applicable now. It must be voted for all these foreigners. Thank you.
Good afternoon, John. I just want to give my input on COSATU strike also. My concern is that the food prices are going up on a day-to-day basis. What about the poorest of the poor of this country? Why can't government subsidize certain food items like maize meal, bread, eggs, and milk? It's ridiculous that we as ordinary workers on the ground can't keep up with the food prices anymore. This comes from Terence.
Today's COSATU march was just about the leadership testing their strength after their re-election. And in addition to that, it was not genuine, because if it is, they cannot just talk about the DA's issues in Western Cape. They need to tell the ANC straight to say what is happening to the post office. They were retrenching. There are many issues in government, businesses, but they're not talking about those businesses because they are in bed with the ANC. Thank you very much.
Hi, John. It's Loiso here. Yeah, John, you guys, if you've never been to Kumbu, you must just give yourself some time to go there. Things are bad there, like the criminals do as they please. If I'm telling you, if you lose your cow or whatever livestock that you lose, if it crosses that river, go to Kumbu, you are in trouble. You just leave it there. They will shoot and kill you like nothing. Bye, John. It's Loiso here.
Lois is not really selling it. He's telling us we should go. It's like he's not really selling me to go. I'm going to the Eastern Cape next winter. I got plans down to go to the Eastern Cape and go see some of those spots that we talk about all the time. But Lisa, you weren't selling it very well there.
Yes, good evening, John, and all the SFM listeners. This is Incognito in KZN. Yo, John, please send my gratitude to Craig Host. He is the best news reader on South African radio. Thank you.
We got to play that. Remind me to play that again at the end of the show. All right, just because Greg probably won't be listening now, but just before the end of the show, it'll be like the last voice note. How do I star this? Can I star a voice note? I don't know how to do it. I'll get Vasani, who's my technical guru, who knows about how to star a voice note. We'll play that for Greg Hurst in a little bit. Still coming up in a moment, our winning feature is with the Teacher of the Year. There was that award ceremony that happened over the weekend. We're going to speak to the Teacher of the Year from the Nelson Mandela School of Science and Technology in Mvezo Village in the Eastern Cape. You know why that's famous, eh? You know why that's famous. We'll take your calls and voice notes so long. We've got a little bit of time, so give us a call as well. The phone lines are open. And who was wanting to message? I got it down here. This is from Kathy in Johannesburg. Kathy hasn't phoned. Has Kathy phoned? I don't think Kathy was phoned. Kathy was being critical, but she doesn't want to phone. Come on, Kathy, give us a call. Help us out.
Yeah, John, our country is under siege by the criminals. They kill now left, right, and center. And then who is next? You, John, or me? We don't know. So this is the result of our criminal justice system. This is the result of our very soft constitution on criminals who are doing as they please because they know that the government is too soft, is going to give them paroles after doing that, and they're going to watch TVs right in prisons there. That's Human Rights Commission. Let them talk. Thank you, Idi and Kuma.
We'll take more calls and voice notes if we have time. We're talking to the Teacher of the Year next.
The Desert Warriors are looking for their third victory to maintain a 100% winning record. Togo are fighting for their first win after 2 draws in their opening 2 matches. This is the top of the table contest in Group E. Experience the journey to Morocco in the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Algeria versus Togo on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Myths versus facts. I'm too young to get breast cancer. Many women under age 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Men can't get breast cancer. 1 in 922 men have a lifetime risk of breast cancer. I have never had children and can therefore not get breast cancer. Women who haven't had children or only had them after 30 have an increased risk of breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on SAFM. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Let's talk also a little bit about being a male nurse. And I wonder, that must be a very unique experience, because firstly, when we think nurses, we don't really think male nurses have the same kind of nurturing.
I will tell you and be honest with you, no guy said, when I finished school, I want to do nursing.
Yeah.
There was no guy who said that. All we said engineering, all those courses. Being a male nurse, I will tell you, me, I was recognized by my late grandmother. He said, when you end this destination, you'll be helping people at hospitals. So, for me, nursing is high, they cherish this thing. But only to find out now, after all the struggles, I found myself in nursing.
Sakile is a nurse at Bara Hospital.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Jon Gericke on SAFM.
A little sad. We're struggling to get hold of the Teacher of the Year. She's obviously very busy because she's a teacher. And, I don't know, marking or making supper or looking after school kids or writing or setting exams. Isn't that a thing that the teachers are doing at the moment? Extramural activities. And, they actually have to do their job and teach children as well. So, we'll see if we can get the Deputy Principal at the Mandela School of Science and Technology on the line, which means we have time for calls and voice notes. 0614 104 107 if you want to send a voice note. Give us a call like Chico in Soweto has done on 086 000 2032. Chico, what do you want to say?
How are you?
Lekker.
Good. Actually, I'm concerned about the way extortionists behave. They do as they please. So, it's obviously that people who are behind these extortionists are politicians, more especially from ANC, because you hear ministers saying they want to negotiate with extortionists, and these people, they go around killing people.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you. Who said they want to negotiate with extortionists? Just remind me.
The minister Kubai. I've heard her saying they must also empower women, understand, while they are negotiating, while they want to negotiate with these extortionists. Understand? How can you negotiate with people who go around and kill people for no reason? So it's obviously people who are behind it. That is why when they are fighting these things, they are dragging feet because they know they are part of it. So we are not going to anywhere with people like that. We need people who are neutral. When they say we are going to fight crime, they fight crime. They don't run around when it comes to fight crime.
Do we have the right people in the right place to do that?
I don't think so. I cannot trust under this ANC leadership
because they put one feet on the gravel road, they put another feet on the tar road. It's double standard. It's all about double standard. So we'll never go anywhere under leadership like that. People who are behaving at night, they are something else. During the day, they are snakes. At night, they are human beings.
It sounds
we'll
like
never go anywhere.
It sounds like you got experience of this, Chico. Have you got personal experience of extortionists?
No, when I do follow up. I listen to news.
So it's not like you've experienced extortion from extortionists, just what's your experience of what's happening on the news?
No, I never, and I'm waiting for someone to come and try me. They will see my true colors. I understand.
Chico in Soweto, thank you very much. Talking tough. Let's talk to the Teacher of the Year.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
The Deputy Principal of the Mandela School of Science and Technology in Mvezo Village in the Eastern Cape has been named the Best Teacher of the Year, the 24 National Teaching Awards that were held at the weekend. Ntombuzuku Mkuzwana joins us now. Ntombuzuku, congratulations on your award. What was it like to be nominated, first of all, and then to get the award? Ntombuzuku, are you there? No. Unfortunately, we will get Ntombuzuku Mkuzwana. Ms. Mkuzwana, I should call her, because I imagine her teachers are always called. Ntombuzuku, are you there? I can hear a noise. I can hear Ntombuzuku Mkuzwana.
Hello.
Hi there, congratulations on your award.
Yes, I'm still there, but your line is very poor. We can hear you.
Okay, let's see if we can go through this. Tell us what it was like, the nomination and the award ceremony, and what this means to you. No, we're gonna have to try and get her on the line. If we don't get her today, we'll talk to her tomorrow. Maybe we'll see if we can squeeze her in. We've got to celebrate these little victories, and when we were doing this, it was fantastic to have your calls as well, talking about your teachers, going down memory lane and being reminded of those people that changed our lives, and every single moment that teachers have changed our lives. And we will celebrate Ntombuzuku Mkuzwana, Deputy Principal at the Mandela School of Science and Technology. We're struggling with the lines. The irony, it's the School of Science and Technology. We'll see if we can get her on the line in a moment or two. We got another voice note for Greg Hoos. I'm going to play both of them. Hopefully it's a good one for Greg. We'll play both of them at the end of the show. Let's talk more about the Kumbu invitation.
Hi, John.
Yes.
I think the guy that was inviting you to go to Kumbu is probably inviting you as a news personnel.
Yes,
like,
I know.
Like as media, and not.
I know.
Not as a tourist. So you should go there as a news media, and maybe speak to people on the ground, and just confirm what it's saying. To go there as a tourist, well, that's at your own peril.
No, we had our reporter there. Remember, we did cover it. Our reporter Nkululeko Nyembezi was there and was covering all of those incidents. And Nkuleko's got his ear on the ground, making sure that we know exactly what's going on in Kulu. It sounds horrific. And when you have, mass murders. It's not just a killing at a tavern, which is, and I say that's just, this is where we've become. It's not just a killing in a tavern. It's mass murders. People going, 6 people dead, 8 people dead. It's just horrific, the situation that is going on, and it boggles my mind. And our news reporters are there. We know what's going on. We do cover these stories. We get you to call us as well and tell us exactly what's happening. And we thank you very much for that. We've got a couple of minutes. So give us a call, 086 000 2032, or a WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107. There was a tweet that came in from Kamkani. Kamkani on Twitter, on X, at SFM Radio. John, the EFF is highly unrealistic with its expectations that in its first 100 days, the GNU would have created jobs that would immediately address the issue of unemployment in the country. One has to argue, when I was listening to the EFF, there's a number of things I could argue the EFF about, but it's 100 days. And you make these policies when you stand up at the beginning of Parliament and you say that I am going to do this. And you've got to see a spark of that thing that you said you would do. Otherwise, what's the point? You stand up, and how many times have we addressed this when the president stands up and he does the State of the Nation, and it all sounds fantastic, and we all celebrate, but we've got to see a spark. So if you say you're going to create employment of 1 million jobs, there should be a spark of where those 1 million jobs are going to come from. If you say that we will better the education of all South Africans, there should be a spark. And yet, they raise the point that there's teachers being unemployed. The Bela Bill is half signed, or a couple of policies in the Bela Bill is after being nominated. It just doesn't make sense, and maybe the EFF are right like there.
Even to the listeners of SAFM, COSATU is in a tripartite alliance with the ANC. Obviously, that comes with NEDLEC, that comes with them influencing ANC on who gets appointed to be minister, as well as other labor-related policies. And they also sit at various bodies in different sectors that inform decisions and what becomes policies for those sectors. That is the role of COSATU. Okay, so it's disingenuous of them to now say we are going to watch for the unemployed when COSATU affiliated unions are the first ones that will block young, gifted, talented black graduates. They're the first ones to block them. COSATU unions are the first ones that are going to say you cannot work in a mine in Muruleng because you don't come from here. You're going to hear it from the unions first of COSATU. I've got experience dealing with these people in so many provinces where they do this. And they're the first ones who want to say we are going to march for the unemployed. Please miss me on that, man.
Angry. Katu, Tumi, Keys, Vusani, and Temba put the show together. Great hosts. A couple of voice notes for you.
I fully concur with the last voice note. I've been thinking about this for quite some time. Greg Hoss is one of the best news readers South Africa has ever produced. Tobani in Makanda. Yes, good evening, John, and all the SFM listeners. This is Incognito in KZN. Yo, John, please send my gratitude to Greg Host. He is the best news reader on South African radio. Thank you.
It's 6 o'clock. Greg has your news.
Voice notes, and of course, thank you to the listeners as well. In this news update, Klope resigns.